Chapter 1734. After thinking of this plan, Tang Ao instantly sent a few soul remembrance transmissions. Although Tang Ao could have the Yellow Scarf Warrior take Lin Xiaofeng away, and he could choose a direction to escape in, Tang Ao was worried that Lin Huqing would capture Luo Yunshang and the others to threaten him. Therefore, Tang Ao didn't give Lin Huqing a choice. Tang Ao would personally capture Lin Xiaofeng and then escape with him. Luo Yunshang was still secretly worried when Tang Ao's soul remembrance transmission suddenly rang in her ears. At the same time, Lin Lang, Chu Jiang, and Lu Yu also heard Tang Ao's voice. Clearly, while Tang Ao was fighting Lin Quantian, he was also sending soul remembrance transmissions to everyone. Achieving this step was extremely difficult. From this, it wasn't hard to see how powerful Tang Ao's soul remembrance was. Junior sister Yunshang, listen well. In a bit, you and brother Chu Jiang will run east. I've left a soul remembrance imprint on you. Once you escape, I'll be able to easily find you. Tang Ao briefly explained his plan. When Tang Ao finished telling Luo Yunshang, Tang Ao also finished telling everyone else. Senior brother Tang Ao, if we do this, Lin Huqing and the rest of the people will definitely chase after you. You're in too much danger. Although Tang Ao's plan wasn't bad, Luo Yunshang quickly understood where the problem was. Like Luo Yunshang, Lin Lang and the others also knew the danger, but they were all silent. This was because Tang Ao's plan was a very good one. If this continued, once Lin Lang entered a weak state, he would immediately lose. After Lin Lang, the Yellow Scarf Warrior would quickly disappear. In the end, only Tang Ao was left. None of them could even think about leaving the Lin family. However, if he adopted Tang Ao's plan, there's almost no need to think too much. Putting everything else aside, at least he would have no problem leaving the Lin family. However, Lin Huqiang originally wanted to tie Tang Ao to the Lin family's war chariot, and Tang Ao had kidnapped Lin Huqiang's beloved son. In this way, Lin Huqiang probably didn't need to think at all. Lin Huqing knew that he had to chase after Tang Ao. After telling everyone about his plan, Tang Ao also secretly observed the battle between Lin Xiaofeng and Chu Jiang. Although it was said that the fist was afraid of the young and strong, Chu Jiang was also an old steed in the stable. In the face of Lin Xiaofeng's ferocious attacks, Chu Jiang didn't budge an inch and kept fighting with Lin Xiaofeng. However, even though Chu Jiang was already very desperate, Chu Jiang and Lin Xiaofeng's strength were about the same. For a moment, the two of them were in a deadlock. However, this didn't affect the implementation of Tang Ao's plan. Just when the ring in Chu Jiang's hand suddenly forced Lin Xiaofeng to retreat, Tang Ao made his move. In midair, Tang Ao's figure flashed. When Tang Ao appeared again, Tang Ao had already arrived behind Lin Xiaofeng. Such an unforeseen event was out of Lin Huqing's expectations. At the same time when Tang Ao appeared behind Lin Xiaofeng, Tang Ao's mind moved, and 4 pitch-black chains tightly bound Lin Xiaofeng, who hadn't reacted yet. Chapter 1735. Therefore, once Lin Xiaofeng fell into Tang Ao's hands, it was clearly impossible for him to escape. And now, Lin Huqing could also understand Tang Ao's thoughts. Tang Ao was definitely using Lin Xiaofeng to threaten him and then escape the Lin family's encampment. Although he understood that this was Tang Ao's scheme, Lin Huqing knew that if Tang Ao really did so, he really had no way to deal with it. Indeed, what Lin Huqing was worried about still happened. After Tang Ao used the 10,000 Go Soul Lock to capture Lin Xiaofeng, Tang Ao rushed in a direction without a word. After his soul was captured by Tang Ao's 10,000 Go Soul Lock, Lin Xiaofeng's eyes glazed over. He was unable to resist at all. At this moment, Lin Xiaofeng only knew that he was captured by Tang Ao. As for other things, Lin Xiaofeng felt his mind go blank. He didn't know anything. Lin Xiaofeng could sense that Tang Ao seemed to be taking him somewhere. Lin Xiaofeng wanted to resist, but at this moment, he couldn't sense the existence of his essence, energy, and life soul. If a warrior's connection with his life, soul, and essence energy was severed, then this warrior was not much different from an ordinary person. Tang Ao's 10,000 Go soul lock was obviously not powerful to such an extent. If it was a head-on battle, it really wouldn't be that easy for Tang Ao to use 10,000 Go soul lock to restrain Lin Xiaofeng. Furthermore, if it was a battle between Tang Ao and Lin Xiaofeng, it would be easier for Tang Ao to kill Lin Xiaofeng than to use 10,000 Go soul lock to restrain Lin Xiaofeng. The reason why Tang Ao succeeded this time was because Lin Xiaofeng was careless. On the surface, he was fighting Chu Jiang with all his might, but in fact, only he knew that he was only using 70% of his strength. The reason why he did this was to numb Chu Jiang and then find an opportunity to kill Chu Jiang in one strike. It was just that Lin Xiaofeng could never have imagined that when he was scheming against Chu Jiang, he himself had long been targeted by Tang Ao. If he could choose, right now, Lin Xiaofeng was willing to use his full strength to fight Chu Jiang head-on. After dealing with Chu Jiang, he would join forces with his father and the others to kill Lin Lang. At that time, if the five of them joined forces to deal with Tang Ao, it would be as easy as slaughtering pigs and dogs. But now it was too late. Lin Xiaofeng kept trying to contact his life soul, but the life soul that he could sense in the past was unexpectedly undetectable. Lin Xiaofeng could sense that his body seemed to be restrained by something. As long as this restraint existed, he was unable to use his primordial energy or summon his life soul. At this moment, Lin Xiaofeng was secretly anxious. Lin Xiaofeng was worried that if he killed Tang Ao would harm him. Although Tang Ao's outcome would definitely be tragic if Tang Ao did that. If Lin Xiaofeng were to die, he would still be at a disadvantage even if Tang Ao died 10,000 times. Stop him! Although he couldn't move his body, Lin Xiaofeng could still hear the voices outside. At that moment, Lin Xiaofeng heard Lin Huqing's words, but he didn't know what was happening outside. Chapter 1736. Tang Ao coldly laughed. These people were thinking too much. Clearly, they had forgotten the scene of his battle with Lin Quangtian, or perhaps they had some misunderstanding towards a martial artist at the third level of the origin martial realm. In reality, what Tang Ao thought was right. The reason why these martial artists dared to block Tang Ao was because Tang Ao was only at the 9th level of the body refining realm. In their minds, no matter how strong Tang Ao was, he was still a martial artist at the 9th level of the body refining realm. And in the group of Lin family elite martial artists that blocked Tang Ao, there were quite a few who were at the peak of the 9th level of the body refining realm. At that moment, these people were very excited. Clearly, this was their chance to soar in the sky. As long as they could capture Tang Ao now, or even save Lin Xiaofeng, it would be a great achievement. A martial artist who could not wait any longer did not hesitate. With a roar, he rushed towards Tang Ao. This was a martial artist at the peak of the 9th level of the body refining realm. His cultivation was the same as Tang Ao. Moreover, he was holding a huge shield in his hands. At that moment, he was holding the shield with both hands and slamming it towards Tang Ao. But before his shield hit Tang Ao, this martial artist saw a silver light flash in front of his eyes. When he lowered his head, he saw a long spear flickering with cold light piercing through his throat. He could feel that his life was coming to an end, but he could not do anything. Even because the 100 battle spear soul was too sharp, he did not feel any pain until now. After Tang Ao casually killed a martial artist at the peak of the 9th level of the body refining realm, the other martial artists who were about to rush up were instantly dumbfounded. Was he still human? They were all martial artists at the peak of the 9th level of the body refining realm, but this Lin family martial artist was actually killed by Tang Ao in one move. It had to be said that Tang Ao's actions were very effective. After Tang Ao killed one of the Lin family warriors, how could the rest of the Lin family warriors dare to stop Tang Ao? Tang Ao also rushed through the crowd and escaped into the forest. At the same time that Tang Ao fled, Luo Yunshang and the rest also fled in all directions. Lin Lang's speed was the fastest. Lin Lang's body turned into a blur as he grabbed Lin Biu, who was in the middle of the crowd. Then, he charged through the crowd of Lin family warriors and fled into the distance. As for Luo Yunshang and Chu Jiang, their speed wasn't slow either. In an instant, they fled towards another direction. Just now, Tang Ao and Lin Lang's speed was too fast, and the Lin family's experts were unable to stop them in time. However, when Luo Yunshang was escaping, the Lin family's ancestor, Lin Quantian, immediately sent a palm strike towards Luo Yunshang. Seeing Lin Quantian charge towards him, Chu Jiang was shocked. Although he knew that he wasn't Lin Quantian's match, Chu Jiang still braced himself and sent out both palms, colliding with Lin Quantian's palm force. At the moment of impact, Chu Jiang heard two crisp cracking sounds coming from his arms. Without even looking, Chu Jiang knew that his arms had been broken by Lin Quantian. This caused Chu Jiang to be shocked. Just now, he had seen that Tang Ao, who was only at the 9th level of the body refining realm, was able to go head-to-head with Lin Quantian. Therefore, Chu Jiang had taken the risk to block this palm strike for Luo Yunshang. If he had known that Lin Quantian's palm force was so terrifying, Chu Jiang would definitely have pushed Luo Yunshang away instead of going head-to-head with Lin Quantian. One had to know that even after escaping from the Lin family's encampment, he and Luo Yunshang would still be in the Blood Wasteland. The Blood Wasteland was different from the Flying Star Continent. The Blood Wasteland was filled with killing intent. Although Luo Yunshang was at the 9th level of the body refining realm, Luo Yunshang wasn't proficient in combat. Chapter 1737. Just as Chu Jiang was in despair, he saw a pill fly over from the side. Scanning it with his sole remembrance, Chu Jiang discovered that this pill had been thrown by Lu Yu. At this moment, a warrior wearing golden armor picked up Duan Quang and Luo Yunshang and promptly charged out of the crowd. In the distance, Lu Yu had been waiting there for a long time. Family head, what do we do now? After this sudden situation, the Lin family's group of experts had already lost their composure. Lin Huqing's eyes hatefully glanced in the direction Lin Lang and Luo Yunshang had escaped in. After taking a deep breath, he said, "The 4 of us will go chase after Tang Ao. The rest of you will guard the Lin family's encampment." After Lin Huqing finished speaking, he immediately chased in the direction Tang Ao had escaped in. Behind Lin Huqing, the 3 martial artists who cultivated the netherworld technique also closely followed. One of the martial artists said, "Huqing, why don't your second uncle and old ancestor follow you to chase after this brat called Tang Ao? Third uncle, I will go deal with those little shrimps that escaped." Towards this martial artist's suggestion, Lin Huqing shook his head. "This Tang Ao is the most hateful, and he is full of tricks. This time, the 4 of us will attack together and capture him. Not only that, if the Lin family wants to rise, Tang Ao is definitely an extremely important chess piece. This Tang Ao is this alchemy conference's 3 rankings first place. He is known as the Flying Star Continent's #1 pill refiner and can concoct 9-star top-quality origin cultivating pills. Second uncle and third uncle also said that if you want to cultivate the netherworld technique, you need to at least reach the body refinement realm's 9th level or even the origin martial realm's 1st level. Otherwise, the powerful netherworld chi will cause the martial artist to turn into a puddle of thick water. Our Lin family has been continuously developing and expanding these past few years. Although we have some savings, this little bit isn't enough to continuously nurture 1st-level origin martial realm martial artists. Therefore, we must capture this Tang Ao." Hu Cheng's words make sense. This Tang Ao is only at the peak of the 9th tier of the body refining realm, yet he is able to fight against the Patriarch. He must have some shocking secret on him. After we capture Tang Ao, we must brand him with a soul mark and interrogate him in detail to find out what secret he is hiding. The cultivator, whom Lin Hu Cheng had replaced as second uncle, said sinisterly. He was obviously very interested in the secrets on Tang Ao's body. Although Tang Ao's speed wasn't slow, the speed of Linhu City's team exceeded Tang Ao's imagination. Just as Tang Ao expected, Tang Ao's soul remembrance swept out and discovered that the 4 people from Linhu City were closely following him. Moreover, because Tang Ao was carrying another person, the distance between Tang Ao and the 4 people from Linhu City was constantly shrinking. Pill Master Tang Ao, don't run. As long as you put down my son, the 4 of us will naturally let you go. Although the distance between the 4 of them and Tang Ao was constantly shrinking, Linhu City still wanted to persuade Tang Ao to put down Lin Xiaofeng. Following this trend, Linhu City and the others would catch up to Tang Ao without any suspense. However, Linhu City didn't want to wait until he caught up to Tang Ao and attacked Tang Ao while still having to worry about Lin Xiaofeng. Chapter 1738. Tang Ao, hurry up and let me go. Otherwise, when my father catches up, you won't even know how you died. When Lin Xiaofeng heard Lin Huqing's voice behind him, the fear in his heart was instantly swept away. At this moment, Lin Xiaofeng silently swore that once he escaped, he would personally kill Tang Ao. As for Luo Yunshang, who had a close relationship with Tang Ao, Lin Xiaofeng also wouldn't let them go. If they offended him, Lin Xiaofeng, he would make Luo Yunshang and Tang Ao regret being born into this world. As Lin Xiaofeng was speaking nonsense, Tang Ao's thoughts moved, and a 10,000 soul locking chain instantly pierced Lin Xiaofeng's soul. Immediately, Tang Ao laughed and said, I don't know how I'll die, but if you dare speak another word of nonsense, your soul will scatter and you'll die. After Tang Ao finished speaking, Lin Xiaofeng's face turned ashen. However, Tang Ao's words truly stopped Lin Xiaofeng. Hearing Tang Ao's words, Lin Xiaofeng didn't dare speak another word of nonsense. This was because Lin Xiaofeng had an illusion that his soul seemed to be pierced by a chain. Moreover, from this chain, Lin Xiaofeng felt a fear that came from his soul. It was as if what Tang Ao had just said was true. As long as Tang Ao wanted to, Tang Ao could instantly turn him into ashes. In reality, Tang Ao really wasn't trying to scare him. Moreover, if he wasn't using him to threaten Lin Huqing, Tang Ao would have casually gotten rid of trash like Lin Xiaofeng a long time ago. Scanning with his soul remembrance, Tang Ao found that Lin Huqing and the others weren't any slower than him, especially Lin Quangtian, who was quickly catching up to him. This made Tang Ao feel somewhat helpless. If Tang Ao was stopped by Linhu City's group, then Tang Ao would be finished. Moreover, Tang Ao knew that Luo Yunshang, Lin Lang, and the others had not escaped far. Therefore, if Tang Ao directly used the wind thunder dark cloud to escape, Lin Huqing and the others would very likely turn back to chase after Luo Yunshang and the others. Thus, even if it was dangerous, Tang Ao could only grit his teeth and persevere, try his best to give Luo Yunshang and the others a bit more time. When Lin Quangtian and the others caught up, Tang Ao could then use the wind thunder dark cloud to escape. No matter how fast Linhu City and the others were, Tang Ao did not believe that they could catch up to the wind thunder dark cloud. One had to know that when Tang Ao operated the wind thunder dark cloud with all his strength, Tang Ao's flying speed was already comparable to a spiritual sea realm martial artist. Seeing the continuously fleeing Tang Ao, Linhu City's face turned cold. At this moment, Linhu City could already tell that Tang Ao was determined to escape with Lin Xiaofeng. This way, even if they caught up to Tang Ao, they would still be threatened by Tang Ao with Lin Xiaofeng. Thinking of this, Linhu City's eyes flashed with a hint of fierceness. If it was somewhere else, it really wouldn't be easy for Linhu City to deal with Tang Ao. However, right now, Linhu City discovered that there were no other martial artists nearby. This way, using some underhanded methods wouldn't be a problem. Linhu City nodded towards Lin Quangtian and the others, and the 4 of them strangely stopped. Chapter 1739. Tang Ao saw that at this moment, black runes appeared on the skin of the four people from Linhu City, as if they were alive. Such a scene was extremely strange. Even with Tang Ao's experience, Tang Ao couldn't recognize what the four people from Linhu City were doing. However, Tang Ao still knew that the four people from Linhu City naturally wouldn't be doing anything good. Immediately, Tang Ao was about to summon the Wind Thunder Nether Cloud to escape. However, before Tang Ao could summon the Wind Thunder Nether Cloud, Tang Ao suddenly discovered that a dark spirit formation had appeared in the forest at this moment. At this moment, the spirit formation had also completely imprisoned Tang Ao. At this time, if Tang Ao wanted to leave, the only way was to shatter the spirit formation. Tang Ao was secretly shocked. Tang Ao really didn't think that the four people from Linhu City had such a method. Moreover, Tang Ao discovered that the spirit formation didn't just simply trap him. After the spirit formation was formed, Tang Ao saw that the trees within the range of the spirit formation were rapidly withering. Clearly, their vitality had been sucked out. Not only the trees, but even some of the monstrous beasts hidden in the darkness were also rapidly having their vitality stripped away. They let out waves of miserable cries. Tang Ao also discovered that his vitality was also being stripped away by the dark spirit formation. After discovering that the spirit formation was sucking away his vitality, Tang Ao was greatly alarmed. Because within the spirit formation, his vitality was constantly being sucked away, while the four people from Linhu City were completely unaffected. Tang Ao originally wasn't a match for the four people from Linhu City. At this moment, with one side being weakened, the other side being strengthened, Tang Ao was in even more danger. After the spirit formation was completely formed, the four people from Linhu City also stopped what they were doing. Linhu City looked at Tang Ao, who was standing at the edge of the spirit formation with a bitter expression, and said rather complacently in his heart, "Alchemist Tang Ao, this is a spirit formation that my Lin family's ancestor discovered in an ancient era's remnant. Up until now, Alchemist Tang Ao is the first martial artist to still be alive after seeing this spirit formation. This Tang is very honored to hear Patriarch Lin say so." With Tang Ao's eyesight, he naturally saw that it was an extremely powerful spirit formation. However, at the same time, Tang Ao also saw that the spirit formation didn't seem to be complete. So, even though the four of them worked together to lay the spirit formation, Lin Huqing could only use it to trap Tang Ao within the formation and use it to endlessly extract Tang Ao's life force. If it was just extracting his vitality, Tang Ao didn't really care. As Tang Ao had the Jade Bone Vitality Life Soul, as long as Tang Ao's essence, energy, and psyche weren't exhausted, Tang Ao could theoretically have endless vitality. But what shocked Tang Ao was that the life force that the spirit formation extracted was all returned to the four people from Linhu City. With the nourishment of this rich vitality, the auras of the four from Linhu City also rose abruptly. Although this increase was only temporary, Tang Ao still felt very helpless. Now, even if the four people from Linhu City directly attacked, Tang Ao wouldn't be able to withstand it. If the four people's strength increased, then Tang Ao would have no hope at all. Chapter 1740. With such conditions, Tang Ao didn't believe that he couldn't break the spirit formation. If Tang Ao still couldn't break the spirit formation, then Tang Ao could only use his last resort. Tang Ao actually had two last resort. These two last resort were given to Tang Ao by Luo Yunshang. That was because Tang Ao's two last resort were the two immortal talismans in Tang Ao's storage ring. One of the two immortal talismans was a grade 6 lightning sacrificial talisman, while the other was a grade 7 space breaking talisman. If he really had no other choice, Tang Ao could directly use the lightning sacrificial talisman to kill all four of them. However, Tang Ao really didn't want to use this precious immortal talisman. Back in Emperor Ming's mystic realm, there were countless treasures. However, Tang Ao didn't see anyone obtaining an immortal talisman in Emperor Ming's mystic realm. In Emperor Ming's inherited memories, Emperor Ming's evaluation of this immortal talisman was rather high. In Emperor Ming's inherited memories, Tang Ao saw a scene. It was the scene of Yin Yang realm expert being killed by the lightning sacrificial talisman. Therefore, Tang Ao knew that this lightning sacrificial talisman could even deal with Yin Yang realm experts. If he used it against Lin Hu City's group, it would be like killing a chicken with a butcher's knife. At the same time, Tang Ao also saw that the lightning sacrificial talisman was extremely powerful. Tang Ao didn't doubt that half of the Crimson Wasteland would instantly disappear after using the lightning sacrificial talisman. Similarly, with Tang Ao's current cultivation, it was impossible to avoid the shockwaves of the lightning sacrificial talisman. Therefore, under normal circumstances, Tang Ao would definitely perish together with Lin Hu City's group after using the lightning sacrificial talisman. Unfortunately, Tang Ao still had two top-notch treasures on him. One of them was naturally a top-notch defensive treasure, the Farmer God Cauldron. However, Tang Ao's cultivation was too low. Even if he had the Farmer God Cauldron to resist the power of the lightning sacrificial talisman, there was a high chance that Tang Ao would be killed by the talisman. Other than the Shinnon Cauldron, Tang Ao had another safer method, the Primal Chaos Hexlight Mirror. If Tang Ao really wanted to use the lightning sacrificial talisman to kill Lin Hu City's group, there wouldn't be a problem if Tang Ao hid in the Primal Chaos Hexlight Mirror. No matter how powerful the lightning sacrificial talisman was, it was clearly impossible for it to interfere with the Primal Chaos Hexlight Mirror. By now, Tang Ao already knew that the Primal Chaos Hexlight Mirror was in existence above the grade 9 Immortal Artifact. Its grade was higher than Tang Ao's Primordial Sacred Heaven Bow and Shinnon Cauldron. As for the grade above the grade 9 Immortal Artifact, Tang Ao didn't know. Of course, apart from using the lightning sacrificial talisman, Tang Ao could also use the space-breaking talisman to break out of this deadlock. However, Tang Ao would rather use the lightning sacrificial talisman than the space-breaking talisman. After all, if he used the space-breaking talisman, Tang Ao would immediately leave this place. At that moment, Chu Xuan was still under house arrest in the Liu family's manor. Naturally, Tang Ao couldn't abandon Chu Xuan and escape alone. However, Tang Ao had no intention of using the two top-grade talismans. At present, the two top-grade talismans were Tang Ao's trump cards. Tang Ao felt that the two talismans would definitely be of great use in the future. Even though it was a dangerous time, he couldn't let the two talismans go to waste. Chapter 1741. At the same time, he threw Lin Xiaofeng out. Tang Ao also threw out a sword aura. Lin Xiaofeng was still trapped by Tang Ao's Thousand Ghost Lock and couldn't move at all. However, Lin Xiaofeng could feel a sharp aura flying toward his back. At this moment, if Lin Huqing and the others didn't save Lin Xiaofeng and instead insisted on fighting Tang Ao, Lin Xiaofeng would definitely be pierced through by Tang Ao's Green Lotus Sword aura. Fortunately, Lin Huqing had used this barrier for Lin Xiaofeng. After using it, Lin Huqing naturally couldn't ignore Lin Xiaofeng and focus on fighting Tang Ao. Moreover, after Tang Ao was trapped by this barrier, he couldn't escape even if he had wings. So, even if Lin Huqing acted a bit later, Lin Huqing didn't have to worry about Tang Ao escaping. Lin Huqing grabbed Lin Xiaofeng with one hand, while the Lin family ancestor, Lin Quangtian, pointed a finger at Lin Xiaofeng's forehead. Then, the 10,000 Ghost Lock on Lin Xiaofeng's body cracked and shattered. As for the other two experts of the Lin family, they acted together and shattered the Green Lotus Sword aura that was chasing Lin Xiaofeng. After the 1,000 Ghost Lock was shattered by Lin Quangtian's finger, Tang Ao suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. At this moment, although Tang Ao's soul sea had recovered a bit, Tang Ao's life spirit still wasn't strong enough. Otherwise, with a 1,000 Ghost Lock at the 21st level of the 1,000 Ghost Lock, it wouldn't be a problem for Lin Quangtian to attack it for a year. However, After Tang Ao's soul sea was shattered, the 1,000 Ghost Lock was shattered by Lin Quantian's finger. After the 10,000 Ghost Lock was destroyed, Lin Xiaofeng instantly sobered up. He immediately roared and pointed at Tang Ao. "Father, quickly kill him!" After saving Lin Xiaofeng, Lin Huqing's expression immediately became gloomy. If it weren't for Tang Ao, he wouldn't have caused so much trouble. Although Linhu City needed Tang Ao to continuously refine elixirs for the Lin family, if he allowed Tang Ao to be comfortable at this moment, then he wouldn't be called Linhu City anymore. From Lin Huqing's point of view, people like Tang Ao were too arrogant. So if they couldn't make Tang Ao submit completely, even if they forced Tang Ao to refine pills for the Lin family in the future, there would still be problems. Not only that, but Lin Huqing was also very interested in Tang Ao's secrets. The Alchemy Alliance's alliance master, Lin Ruchong, was so good at alchemy because the Alchemy Alliance's Hua Yuan had discovered an ancient alchemy master's attack in the early years. Hua Yuan couldn't refine pills himself, so he handed everything he had obtained from the ruins to Lin Ruchong. Now, Tang Ao's alchemy skills were clearly better than Lin Ruchong's, so Lin Huqing had absolute reason to believe that Tang Ao's secrets were definitely not simple. However, no matter what secrets Tang Ao had, Lin Huqing would soon find out about Tang Ao's secrets. However, what Lin Huqing never expected was that Tang Ao would actually throw 7 array flags into the air in the form of the Big Dipper. Then, Lin Huqing and the others were shocked to see that after Tang Ao threw the 7 array flags, a narrow crack suddenly appeared in midair. Chapter 1742. At that instant, raging waves rose in Lin Huqing's heart. It was very hard for Lin Huqing to imagine where Tang Ao came from. Why was Tang Ao even able to find the flaw in the ancient spirit formation? Although he was shocked in his heart, Lin Huqing's eyes were even more excited. The more Tang Ao knew, the more secrets Tang Ao had on him. Right now, after Tang Ao was trapped by his spirit formation, no matter what treasures Tang Ao had on him, in the end, those treasures would belong to Lin Huqing. But very quickly, Lin Huqing's face changed because he saw that Tang Ao was actually flying towards the narrow crack in the air. Very clearly, Tang Ao wanted to escape through the crack. Naturally, Lin Huqing would not let the duck that was already in his mouth fly away. Tang Ao and the others also decisively attacked and prepared to stop Tang Ao. At that time, Tang Ao also arrived in front of the crack. Immediately, Tang Ao unhesitatingly threw a punch. Tang Ao's punch was incomparably berserk. Even a normal Origin Realm monstrous beast will be killed by Tang Ao's punch with a single punch from Tang Ao. But after Tang Ao's berserk punch landed on the crack, Tang Ao felt that his fist landed on an indestructible shield. The huge recoil even caused Tang Ao's arm to go numb. Tang Ao felt that if he used a bit more strength, the recoil from the spirit formation could even possibly shatter his fist. Just a moment ago, the people from Linhu City were worried that Tang Ao would escape. However, when they saw Tang Ao being sent flying back by the barrier, they burst into laughter. The 4 people from Linhu City also came to a realization. No matter how heaven-defying Tang Ao was, he was just a mere body refining realm 9th level martial artist. The people from Linhu City used the spirit formation to trap and kill a monstrous beast at the 4th level of the Origin Realm. No matter how much more powerful Tang Ao was, he could not compare to a monstrous beast at the 4th level of the Origin Realm. After being pushed back, Tang Ao still did not give up. With a golden flash, Tang Ao's battle Sage Bone Life Soul was instantly summoned by Tang Ao. Although Tang Ao had summoned the battle Sage Bone Life Soul, the quartet from Linhu City ignored Tang Ao. Since Tang Ao was willing to waste his energy, then he would let Tang Ao torment himself. When Tang Ao was done tormenting himself, the 4 of them would have to save some energy when dealing with Tang Ao. On Tang Ao's fist, a layer of golden air current wrapped around it. Within this layer of golden glass-like clothes, there were mysterious runes circulating. Seeing that the people from Linhu City ignored him, Tang Ao was secretly delighted. His previous attack was indeed unable to break the spirit formation and escape. However, under the gaze of Tang Ao's sky-polar eyes, Tang Ao could clearly see that under his punch, there were many new cracks in the area of the spirit formation. Bang! A muffled sound was heard as Tang Ao's fist once again hit the crack. However, just like before, an abnormally terrifying aura came back, as if it wanted to crush Tang Ao. To everyone's surprise, Tang Ao was once again smashed to the ground by the terrifying force. Even with the protection of the Battle Sagebone Life Soul, Tang Ao still felt like his body was about to fall apart. Chapter 1743. However, right now, Tang Ao felt that throwing 2 punches was still a bit risky. After all, the 4 people from Linhu City were watching from the side. Tang Ao was worried that things would change if he delayed. Thus, when Tang Ao flew towards the crack, the devil beheading axe instantly appeared in Tang Ao's hand. After seeing the devil beheading axe appear in Tang Ao's hand, the 4 people from Linhu City became extremely anxious. This devil beheading axe was the treasure of the Lin family's ancestor, Lin Quangtian. Thus, they naturally knew how powerful it was. If Tang Ao was only relying on his own brute force, they wouldn't care about Tang Ao at all. However, if Tang Ao used the devil beheading axe to attack the barrier, they wouldn't be confident. Sure enough, under their shocked gazes, the devil beheading axe emitted a demonic and terrifying light. Then, with a boom sound, Tang Ao's devil beheading axe chopped down on the tough barrier. However, when facing the devil beheading axe, the strange black barrier was like a hard rock. No matter how it was hit, it didn't change. However, when it encountered the indestructible devil beheading axe, the hard rock instantly turned into rubble. Under Tang Ao's axe, the barrier instantly shattered. However, even Tang Ao didn't expect that after the barrier shattered, an abnormally violent aura would suddenly explode in the area. Tang Ao saw that under this terrifying explosion, Lin Xiaofeng's left arm was instantly blown to pieces. Meanwhile, the 4 people from Linhu City were also sent flying back while vomiting blood. Like the 4 people from Linhu City, Tang Ao's face was also pale as he continuously vomited 3 mouthfuls of blood. The aura on his body was extremely weak. Although he was seriously injured, Tang Ao still didn't dare to stay there. Tang Ao thought that the terrifying explosion just now was probably caused by the life force in the black barrier going out of control. Previously, the black barrier had stripped away the vitality of all the plants and demonic beasts within the barrier. After the barrier was destroyed by Tang Ao, the vitality that had not been consumed in time naturally went out of control. Tang Ao turned his head to look. At this moment, there was a mushroom cloud above the area where the barrier was. From this, it could be seen how terrifying the power of the explosion was. Before, when he was trapped in the spirit formation, some of Tang Ao's life force was used up. After that, he was continuously injured by the spirit formation 3 times. At the end, after the spirit formation broke, he even took the explosion of the spirit formation head-on. Because of that, the aura on Tang Ao's body was very weak. Right now, not to mention Lin Quangtian, Lin Huqing, and the others who were at the 3rd level of the origin realm, even a martial artist at the 5th or 6th level of the body refinement realm would be able to take care of Tang Ao. Tang Ao knew that he had to find a place to heal as soon as possible. However, Tang Ao wasn't very familiar with the Blood Wasteland. Moreover, the Blood Wasteland was always filled with danger. So, at this moment, Tang Ao really couldn't find a safe place. Tang Ao had already decided that if he couldn't find a suitable place, he could only hide in the Primal Chaos 6 Light Mirror space to heal. Compared to other places, the Primal Chaos 6 Light Mirror space was clearly safer. The prerequisite was that there weren't any old monsters like the Blood Vulture waiting to take over his body. Otherwise, if Tang Ao randomly entered the Primal Chaos 6 Light Mirror's space, it wouldn't be safe. Just as Tang Ao was considering whether or not to enter the Primal Chaos 6 Light Mirror's space to heal, Tang Ao suddenly felt a wave of dizziness. Shortly after, Tang Ao bitterly laughed. Just now, he had forcefully used the demon beheading axe that he hadn't refined. Chapter 1744. Even if there was something in the Primal Chaos 6 Light Mirror, Tang Ao still believed that the Primal Chaos 6 Light Mirror was relatively safe. Otherwise, if there really was a problem with the Primal Chaos 6 Light Mirror, why hadn't it appeared after so long? In fact, this was Tang Ao worrying too much. The last time Tang Ao saw the stunning beauty in the Heavenly Book Pavilion, it was only the Heavenly Book Pavilion's artifact spirit. Moreover, Tang Ao had already refined 3 layers of the Primal Chaos 6 Light Mirror. He was already the Primal Chaos 6 Light Mirror's owner. If there really was a problem with the Primal Chaos 6 Light Mirror, or if there really was a remnant soul in the mirror, then Tang Ao would definitely be able to discover it immediately. The reason why Tang Ao couldn't sense the Heavenly Book Pavilion's artifact spirit was because Tang Ao had only refined the first 3 layers of the Primal Chaos 6 Light Mirror's restrictions. If Tang Ao refined the Primal Chaos 6 Light Mirror's restrictions, then not only would Tang Ao be able to see the Heavenly Book Pavilion's artifact spirit, but he would also be able to freely enter and exit the Heavenly Book Pavilion. However, it was too late to say anything now. This was because Tang Ao had already fainted on the grass. The Scarlet Wilderness was filled with killing intent. If it wasn't for the terrifying explosion that scared away the surrounding demonic beasts, then it would be very dangerous for Tang Ao to faint here. This was because when Tang Ao fainted, he wouldn't have any ability to resist. At this time, not to mention a demonic beast, even if a wild wolf came, Tang Ao would be finished. However, because of the explosion just now, the surrounding demonic beasts had already been scared away. The demonic beasts were scared away by the explosion, but the nearby martial artists were attracted by this strange explosion. At this moment, not far from Tang Ao, a group of people were carefully approaching him. There were many people in this group. Adding up the men and women, there were only 11 of them. In the middle of the group, there was a carriage pulled by a fire plume horse. The rest of the warriors were riding their horses and slowly following the carriage. On the curtain of the carriage, there was a flowery pattern, and in the middle of the pattern, there were 4 small and graceful words, 100 Flowers Manor. This group of cultivators were all cultivators from the 100 Flowers Manor. Compared to the Cloud Luan Palace, the Duan family, and the Liu family manor, the 100 Flowers Manor was only an extremely small faction. Therefore, although the 100 Flowers Manor had come to the Bloody Wastelands to try their luck, they were much more cautious than the other factions. After receiving the news of the Scarlet Wasteland, the group of 100 Flowers Manor's warriors set off. However, up till now, these warriors of the 100 Flowers Manor had only arrived here. Moreover, they had no intention of hunting the black fog monsters for the crystals. Instead, they planned to settle down in Evergreen Market before making any plans. If it wasn't for the fact that this route was the only way to the Evergreen Market, Ling Weiwei would never have let everyone continue to force it. Before coming to the Scarlet Wastelands, the Manor Lord of the 100 Flowers Manor had told her that the path of martial arts was extremely cruel. No matter when, sacrifices were unavoidable. Therefore, the Manor Lord of the 100 Flowers Manor had told Ling Weiwei that this time, she shouldn't be as timid as before. At the time, Ling Weiwei had agreed, but after entering the Scarlet Wastelands, she naturally changed her mind. This was because what Ling Weiwei wanted to do was not to abandon any of her companions. This time, they had come out together with 11 people. When they returned, they would return together with 11 people. The appearance of the Scarlet Wastelands this time could be said to be an opportunity for all cultivators to soar in the sky. If the leaders of other factions did what Ling Weiwei did, there would definitely be a rebellion. However, the people of the 100 Flowers Manor clearly knew that their young miss had a kind heart. Therefore, Even though they hadn't obtained a single crystal, not a single one of them had any complaints. Chapter 1745. He doesn't seem to be dead. When Xiao Chui had first seen Tang Ao, because Tang Ao's aura was too weak, Xiao Chui couldn't sense Tang Ao's life force. However, when Xiao Chui used her soul remembrance to carefully examine him, Xiao Chui discovered that Tang Ao's body wasn't completely devoid of life force. It was just that Tang Ao's aura was extremely weak, as if Tang Ao could die at any moment. Ling Weiwei naturally saw Tang Ao on the carriage. After thinking for a moment, Ling Weiwei decided to go over and take a look. Although Ling Weiwei didn't want to cause trouble, Ling Weiwei couldn't just watch someone die and not save him. However, Ling Weiwei was a bit worried. If Tang Ao was being chased by enemies, then saving Tang Ao would definitely offend someone. However, at this life and death moment, Ling Weiwei couldn't care so much. Immediately, Ling Weiwei jumped off the carriage and pulled out the long sword in her hand as she slowly walked towards Tang Ao. Ling Weiwei was very cautious. In 100 Flower Villa, the villa master often told her that one shouldn't have the heart to harm others, but one shouldn't have the heart to guard against others. Although Tang Ao didn't seem to be in any danger right now, in the world of martial artists, there were too many deceitful things, so Ling Weiwei didn't dare be careless. Xiao Chui followed beside Ling Weiwei. Seeing Ling Weiwei pull out the sword in her hand and walk towards Tang Ao, Xiao Chui said uncertainly, "Young miss, you aren't planning on sending him off, are you?" Xiao Chui's words weren't without basis. Right now, Tang Ao's wounds were clearly extremely heavy. Even if he was saved, the chances of Tang Ao surviving were very small. If this was the case, then it was better to give Tang Ao a quick death and let him be free earlier. Hearing Xiao Chui's words, Ling Weiwei rolled her eyes. This little girl truly didn't have any experience going out. It was fine if she didn't have any experience, but she still let her imagination run wild all day. Very quickly, the two of them arrived beside Tang Ao. At the same time, the martial artists of the 100 Flowers Manor followed behind Ling Weiwei. From her point of view, Tang Ao really wasn't in any danger. Although they were following behind Ling Weiwei, if anything were to happen, they would definitely be able to save her. Ling Weiwei cautiously poked Tang Ao's arm with the tip of her sword. "Wake up, can you hear me?" But after Ling Weiwei finished speaking, the unconscious Tang Ao remained motionless. At this moment, Tang Ao had really fainted. Although Tang Ao looked like he was seriously injured, it was not like what Ling Xiaocui had thought. His chances of survival were not high. At this moment, Tang Ao's soul remembrance and Yuan Qi were slowly recovering. As for Tang Ao's external injuries, they were constantly being healed by the Jade Bone Life Soul. As long as Tang Ao woke up and rested for an hour, Tang Ao's injuries would be completely healed. However, it clearly wasn't that easy for Tang Ao to wake up. Even Tang Ao's consciousness was currently in a state of chaos. Tang Ao only felt like someone was talking to him in a daze. As for what was said, Tang Ao had no way of knowing. At the same time, Tang Ao could feel that someone had carried him to a comfortable place. Tang Ao wanted to wake up and take a look. However, no matter how hard Tang Ao tried, he only felt a state of chaos and couldn't wake up. Chapter 1746. Although 100 Flowers Manor had such a dreamy name, in reality, 100 Flowers Manor was not a force that specialized in planting flowers, but a special school. The Manor Lord of the 100 Flowers Manor, Elder Tan Shi, was proficient in the Medicine Dao, Array Dao, Talisman Dao, Weapon Refinement, Pill Refinement, and many other techniques. However, Elder Tan Shi lived in seclusion in the 100 Flowers Manor, and only fated people would be able to see him. Of course, forces like the 8 overlords that ruled the Facian continent had a terrifying intelligence network. Therefore, they had some understanding of 100 Flowers Manor. However, including the Liu family, no force knew the true strength of 100 Flowers Manor. They could only judge from some superficial phenomena, that 100 Flowers Manor was not to be underestimated. Therefore, unless there was a major conflict of interest, it was best not to provoke 100 Flowers Manor. On the other hand, everyone in the 100 Flowers Manor had always kept a low profile. Naturally, they wouldn't make enemies with other forces, let alone clashing with the 8 overlords. However, with the appearance of the Scarlet Wasteland, Old Man Tanshi knew that this peace would soon be broken. Originally, the 8 overlords ruled the Facian continent. The 8 overlords kept each other in check, keeping the Facian continent in a state of balance. However, with the appearance of Yuan and soul crystals in the Scarlet Wasteland, this state of balance would definitely be broken. At that time, a new round of reshuffling would begin. Therefore, even if 100 Flowers Manor wanted to stay out of it, it would be impossible. Because of this, Old Man Tan, she allowed the 4 most outstanding people in 100 Flowers Manor to lead a group of people to the Scarlet Wasteland to look for opportunities. The 4 groups originally set off together, but the other 3 were not as cautious as Ling Weiwei. They had been fearlessly rushing to the Scarlet Wasteland as fast as they could. Therefore, even though they set off at the same time, Ling Weiwei and the others had yet to reach Evergreen Market. However, the other 3 had already led people to hunt for Yuan crystals and black fog monsters. Under Ling Weiwei's lead, Ling Weiwei and the others advanced cautiously. Although they had not encountered any danger that they could not resolve, their speed was really too slow. Fortunately, no one in the group had any complaints. Although Ling Weiwei was young, everyone was still quite convinced by her. Within this box, there were some miscellaneous items. There were some unknown ores, fodder for the fire plume horse, and some other random items. Ling Weiwei took out a spirit congealing pill and gave it to Tang Ao, then returned to the carriage. Ling Xiaotsui glanced at Tang Ao, then covered Tang Ao with a fur coat and returned to Ling Weiwei's carriage. "Miss, can this person be saved?" Unlike Ling Weiwei, who was proficient in medicine, Ling Xiaotsui was good at cooking, but she knew nothing about medicine or alchemy. In Ling Xiaotsui's view, Tang Ao seemed to be seriously injured, but Ling Xiaotsui did not understand. Since Ling Weiwei decided to save Tang Ao, why did she only give Tang Ao a spirit congealing pill and ignore Tang Ao? Chapter 1747. Young Miss, you're saying that he wasn't heavily injured and only fainted from overexertion? Though Ling Xiaotsui didn't understand medicine, she still knew some common sense. According to Ling Weiwei's words, Ling Xiaotsui knew that if Tang Ao wasn't heavily injured and fainted, then there was only one possibility left for Tang Ao to faint: overexertion. Ling Weiwei nodded and then shook her head. "I'm not sure either. Though I can feel that he used up quite a bit of energy from the blood on his clothes, I can see that he was injured before. However, I used my soul remembrance to check and found no wounds on his body. In other words, the wounds on his body healed before the blood on his clothes dried up. This is really hard to believe." Hearing Ling Weiwei say this, Xiaotsui also felt that Tang Ao was a bit mysterious. "Then, young miss, why don't we not save him? If Tang Ao was just a normal martial artist, then saving Tang Ao wouldn't be a problem. However, if Tang Ao had some secret on his body, saving Tang Ao probably wouldn't be a good thing." However, Ling Weiwei's words quickly made Ling Xiaotsui dispel this idea. "It's fine. I saw it just now. This guy is only at the 9th level of the body refining realm. As for you, young miss, I'm already at the 1st level of the origin martial realm. So, even if something happens to this person, I can quickly subdue him. You don't need to worry." After speaking, Ling Weiwei took out the map and looked at it before saying, "There's still 8 hours until we reach Evergreen Market. I'll sleep for a bit and wake me up if there are any problems. Also, if I don't wake up by the time we get to Evergreen Market, use this golden needle to stab my spirit platform point." In reality, after a martial artist reached the 3rd level of the body refining realm, they could meditate to recover and didn't need to specifically sleep. Ling Weiwei had long since surpassed the 3rd level of the body refining realm and was at the 1st level of the origin martial realm. However, Ling Weiwei still needed to sleep. This was because Ling Weiwei was born with a weak soul, causing her to be very sleepy. Previously, when her cultivation was low, Ling Weiwei spent 20 hours of the day in a coma. Even when she was awake, Ling Weiwei would easily fall asleep. Right now, after Ling Weiwei's cultivation rose to the first level of the origin realm, her soul became quite a bit stronger. However, the flaws in her soul still existed, but it was different from before. Now, Ling Weiwei only needed to sleep for 8 to 12 hours a day, and the rest of the time, Ling Weiwei was awake, and now there would be no inexplicable falling asleep. Ling Xiaocui was an orphan. It was Ling Weiwei who asked Tan Shi to buy her back to 100 Flowers Villa in a market when she was young. Due to Ling Weiwei's special physical condition, Ling Xiaocui had been taking care of Ling Weiwei for a long time. So now that Ling Weiwei wanted to sleep, Ling Xiaocui naturally knew why. Chapter 1748. In the cargo box that Tang Ao was in, Tang Ao felt incomparably hot. After a while, just when Tang Ao felt like he couldn't take it anymore, Tang Ao finally woke up. Although Tang Ao was unconscious just now, Tang Ao could still feel where he was being carried. Now that he woke up and found himself in a carriage, Tang Ao knew that there was nothing wrong with what he felt just now. While he was unconscious, someone saved him. Tang Ao scanned with his soul remembrance. Tang Ao found that this was a group of fighters he had never seen before. Moreover, what made Tang Ao confused was that this group walked very slowly. The two fire plume horses that were pulling the carriage were practically walking with their eyes closed. Fire plume horses were originally a type of mount with great speed and endurance. However, in this group, the fire plume horses had no place to use their abilities. At the same time, Tang Ao found that he probably had used some kind of pill. Otherwise, even if he could wake up, he wouldn't have woken up so quickly. With Tang Ao's understanding of pills, Tang Ao only had to slightly feel for Tang Ao to know that someone had probably given him a congealing pill. Tang Ao rubbed his chin and silently felt that this was interesting. If it was him and he encountered another fighter in the same situation, he would definitely choose a congealing pill. However, normally speaking, if a fighter was unconscious, normal pill refiners would use a clear spirit pill. They definitely wouldn't think of a congealing pill. Therefore, Tang Ao was silently curious. Could it be that in this martial artist group, there was a heaven-defying pill refiner like Liu Yu? Thinking of this, Tang Ao once again scanned with his soul remembrance. Shortly after, Tang Ao found that there were a total of 11 fighters in this group. Among them, the unconscious young girl in the carriage at the front was an Origin Realm first-level fighter. The others were between the 7th and 9th level of the Body Refinement Realm. It had been a long time since the opening of the Scarlet Wasteland. If this team only had this much strength, they would be relatively weak. One had to know that the Lin family that fought against Tang Ao not too long ago was also not a top-notch power. However, the Lin family already had 3 people at the 2nd level of the Origin Realm, 1 person at the 3rd level of the Origin Realm, and 1 person at the 1st level of the Origin Realm. Although the Lin family cultivated the Netherworld skill, it was still possible to see which stage the mainstream martial artists were at. However, Tang Ao didn't think too much about it, because Tang Ao thought of another possibility, which was that this group of warriors was very far from the hidden dragon crypt, so they only rushed to the Scarlet Wasteland now. Because among this group of martial artists, Tang Ao did not feel the aura of crystals. In other words, these martial artists had not used crystals to cultivate. Just as Tang Ao was investigating this group of martial artists, the carriage suddenly stopped. Soon after, the carriage that Tang Ao was in was opened by a young girl. Ling Xiaocui originally wanted to see how Tang Ao was, but what surprised Ling Xiaocui was that Ling Weiwei was right. Tang Ao didn't have any major problems because Tang Ao was already sitting on the pile of junk as if nothing had happened. Chapter 1749. No, it wasn't me. My family's lady saved you. I'm called Xiao Chui. My family's lady is asleep right now. If you need to find her, you have to wait for her to wake up. Also, if you don't have a place to go, you can follow us to the Evergreen Market Square. If you want to go to other places, you can leave after you've rested enough. Ling Weiwei said those words to Xiao Chui before she fainted. At that instant, Xiao Chui said every single word to Tang Ao. After Tang Ao heard Xiao Chui's words, his impression of the martial artist in his heart instantly became quite a bit better. Although Tang Ao felt that the advancing speed of the martial artist was very slow, since they were also going to the Evergreen Market Square, naturally, Tang Ao went the same way as them. Also, Tang Ao knew that although there were quite a few martial artists with their strength, it was still extremely dangerous to walk in the Blood Wasteland. So, if they met any danger, Tang Ao would be able to repay the kindness of saving him. Tang Ao was a person who clearly distinguished kindness and grudges. Although Xiao Chui had no intentions of wanting him to repay the kindness, Tang Ao would still give the martial artist some help. I'm just about to go to the Evergreen Market Square as well. Since everyone is going the same way, I'll go with you. You seem to have just arrived in the Blood Wasteland. At that instant, the group stopped and started to set up tents. Clearly, they were preparing to rest for the night. The martial artists also understood that although there were quite a few of them, it was still very dangerous to pass through the forest at night. After all, night was the time when many monstrous beasts appeared. After Ling Weiwei fell asleep, not a single one of them had the battle power of the Origin Realm. We came from 100 Flowers Villa. Actually, the 100 Flowers Villa isn't too far from here. However, on the way, when we met strong monstrous beasts, we chose to take a detour. So, we just entered the Blood Wasteland not too long ago. Xiao Chui was very talkative. After a simple introduction to Tang Ao, the two of them started chatting. Big brother Tang Ao, have you been in the Blood Wasteland for a long time? Do you have any yuan crystals or soul crystals on you? If it was any other warrior, no matter how curious they were, they would not ask this question. But Tang Ao knew that this little girl was really too naive. Whatever she thought in her heart, her mouth was very direct. However, what made Tang Ao a little embarrassed was that although Tang Ao was the first warrior to enter the Scarlet Wasteland, and Tang Ao had also obtained a lot of yuan and soul crystals, all of these yuan and soul crystals had been used up by Tang Ao. I've been in the Scarlet Wastelands for quite some time now. I've also obtained some essence and soul crystals before. However, I've used them all up. Tang Ao embarrassedly scratched his head. If it wasn't for the fact that all the essence and soul crystals Tang Ao got were used up by Tang Ao, at that time, Tang Ao could have given them some. However, right now, Tang Ao truly did not have a single essence crystal on him. Xiao Chui clearly did not doubt Tang Ao's words. Rather, she looked at Tang Ao expectantly and asked, Big brother Tang Ao, did you get soul crystals and yuan crystals before? How did you get them? Chapter 1750. Seeing Ling Weiwei walk over, Xiao Chui hurriedly introduced to Tang Ao, Big brother Tang Ao, this is my family's young miss. Before, it was my young miss who gave you the medicinal pill. Although my young miss is young, she is an amazing alchemist. After introducing Ling Weiwei to Tang Ao, Xiao Chui also introduced Tang Ao to Ling Weiwei. Tang Ao already knew that when he was unconscious, someone gave him a medicinal pill. Now, it seemed that it was Ling Weiwei who gave him the medicinal pill. At that moment, Tang Ao also clasped his hands towards Ling Weiwei. The reason he could wake up so quickly was all thanks to Ling Weiwei's congealing pill. The congealing pill was an 8-star medicinal pill. For Tang Ao, an 8-star medicinal pill was nothing. But for many martial artists on the Flying Star Continent, they had never even seen an 8-star medicinal pill before. When Tang Ao clasped his hands and thanked her, Ling Weiwei hurriedly said, Senior Tang Ao, no need to be so polite. Just now, I heard Senior Tang Ao talk about origin and soul crystals. We just arrived at the Blood Wasteland, so we don't know much about the Blood Wasteland, origin, and soul crystals. Senior Tang Ao, can you tell us about it? After hearing Ling Weiwei and Tang Ao's conversation, the surrounding martial artists also surrounded them. They just arrived at the Blood Wasteland, so they didn't know much about it. If there was no one to guide them, it was very easy for them to be at a disadvantage. Right now, Tang Ao clearly stayed in the Blood Wasteland for a long time. Since it was like that, they naturally wanted to understand more about the Blood Wasteland, origin, and soul crystals through Tang Ao. Towards these things, Tang Ao naturally wouldn't refuse. So, after Tang Ao worded his words, he said, "The Blood Wasteland suddenly appeared a while ago. After the Blood Wasteland appeared, martial artists found fragments of origin crystals in the Blood Wasteland. These origin crystals contain extremely terrifying origin energy. As long as there are enough origin crystals, a martial artist at the 9th level of the body refining realm can very easily cultivate to the origin martial realm." Is Yuan crystal really that powerful? A warrior asked in surprise. Before, the cultivation of the 1st level of the origin realm was already the limit of the Flying Star continent. Even so, there weren't many people who could cultivate to the 1st level of the origin realm. But right now, Tang Ao said that as long as there were enough origin crystals, martial artists in the 9th level of the body refinement realm could very easily cultivate to the origin realm that countless dancers dreamed of. After this person asked, Tang Ao laughed bitterly in his heart. To others, Yuan crystals were really that powerful. However, to Tang Ao, who had the 9 dragons Emperor Jade body, the effects of Yuan crystals were a little unsatisfactory. Yuan crystals contain very pure and rich Yuan Qi. This kind of Yuan Qi is different from the Yuan Qi in the best quality Yuan Yangdan. It only needs to be absorbed and refined normally, and does not need the assistance of things like the Dan transformation pond. Yuan crystals are born in the bodies of monsters called black fog monsters. These monsters are powerful and agile. After killing these monsters, a Yuan crystal will explode out. Apart from the extremely small number of Yuan crystals that are scattered outside, the most direct way to obtain Yuan crystals is to kill black fog monsters. In the Blood Wasteland, apart from the black fog monsters, there are 3 other special monsters. The information that Tang Ao was talking about was something that they didn't know before. So, someone immediately asked, apart from the black fog monsters, what other special monsters are there? Chapter 1751. Tang Ao found out about this news from chatting with Luo Yunshang not long ago. If Luo Yunshang had not told Tang Ao would not have known that there was a supreme elder in the Alchemy Alliance other than Lin Ruchang. Tang Ao had no doubt that Hua Yuan had awakened the 13th heaven life spirit. If Hua Yuan had really obtained a certain amount of soul crystals, his remembrance would be greatly improved after he absorbed and refined these soul crystals. After his remembrance was improved, it would not be a problem for him to awaken a high-level life spirit. After hearing Tang Ao say that someone had awakened the 13th heaven life spirit, everyone revealed a shocked expression. Before this, there were 2 iron rules in the Facian continent. The first iron rule was that the martial artists of the Facian continent could only awaken 6 life spirits. Even the most powerful martial artists could only sense the existence of the 12th heaven of the colossal world. As for the higher heaven, they could not sense it. The other iron rule was that the martial artists of the Facian continent could only reach the 1st level of the origin martial realm. Even a talented martial artist like Lu Chuanjia had been stuck at the 1st level of the origin martial realm for 1,000 years. However, with the appearance of the Scarlet Wasteland, these 2 iron rules were broken. Then, Tang Ao told everyone about the Scarlet Wasteland. Everyone was excited. Although the Scarlet Wasteland was full of danger, these martial artists were looking forward to reaching the Evergreen Market as soon as possible. After repairing the Evergreen Market, they would immediately start hunting the black fog monsters and the purple conch mosquitoes. While chatting, the martial artists of the 100 Flowers Villa also took out all the fine wine and delicacies. Tang Ao couldn't help but admit that these guys really knew how to live a good life. The originally boring journey had turned into something enjoyable for them. Corn, potatoes, and various meat skewers were roasted on the bonfire. Although most martial artists disdain to enjoy the food of the mortal world, Tang Ao did not have such a thought. At the very least, Tang Ao felt that these wild boar meat skewers paired with the aged wine of the 100 Flowers Manor was very enjoyable. Moreover, Tang Ao could also see that Xiao Cui's culinary skills were really amazing. These skewers were all marinated with Xiao Cui's special spices, so the taste was extremely delicious after being roasted. At Tang Ao's level of cultivation, he had long since abstained from eating. But now, in the face of such delicious food, Tang Ao also let go of it. Big brother Tang Ao, I'd like to propose a toast to you. Previously, you suffered such a serious injury, but now you're fine. Obviously, Big brother Tang Ao is a blessed person. The person speaking to Tang Ao was a drunk youth. Towards this youth, Tang Ao's impression was not bad. Tang Ao did not know the name of this youth, but seeing that everyone called him Little Taiju, Tang Ao also called him Little Taiju like everyone else. Tang Ao understood that there was an expert living in seclusion in the 100 Flowers Villa called Old Man Tan Shi, and these people were all Old Man Tan Shi's disciples. This Old Man Tan Shi's attainments in alchemy, refining, talismans, and array formations were not shallow, and Little Taiju was a martial artist who followed Old Man Tan Shi to learn refining. Little Taiju was not old, only about 15 or 16 years old. What interested Tang Ao was that he had refined a sledgehammer that was as tall as him. This sledgehammer was the blacksmith hammer that he used for refining, and it was also his weapon in battle. Chapter 1752. And because of the attitude of muddling through for a long time, these refiners really couldn't refine anything good. But at this moment, the hammer that Little Iron Pillar refined made Tang Ao see the hope of the Flying Star Continent's refiners. If Little Iron Pillar could grow smoothly, he would definitely become an amazing refiner in the future. Looking at the drunk young man in front of him, Tang Ao also raised his wine jar and clinked it with him. Although the aged wine of 100 Flowers Manor was intoxicating, Tang Ao was only 70% drunk after drinking 2 jars of wine. In fact, whether it was in his previous life or this life, Tang Ao liked good wine very much. It was just that Tang Ao had experienced too many things in this life, so Tang Ao didn't have the opportunity to enjoy good wine a few times. After being 70% drunk, La Kale's figure appeared in front of Tang Ao again. Tang Ao reached out and wanted to grab La Kale. To Tang Ao's surprise, he really grabbed something. Tang Ao hurriedly shook his head to sober himself up. Then, Tang Ao awkwardly found that when Ling Weiwei walked in front of him, she was actually grabbed by him. Tang Ao's action made Ling Weiwei's pretty face blush like a ripe fairy fruit. Tang Ao also hurriedly let go and looked at Ling Weiwei apologetically. Ling Weiwei naturally knew that Tang Ao didn't do it on purpose just now because she also saw that Tang Ao was lost in thought, so she walked over to take a look. What Ling Weiwei didn't expect was that as soon as she walked over, she was immediately grabbed by Tang Ao. Junior Sister Ling, when we get to Evergreen Market, are you going to hunt the black fog monster after you've rested? To avoid embarrassment, Tang Ao also hurriedly said. Hearing Tang Ao's question, Ling Weiwei also sat down. After eating a skewer of roasted meat from the bonfire, Ling Weiwei nodded and said, I don't want to disappoint Master for letting us come out to gain experience this time. However, the Scarlet Wasteland is too dangerous and I don't want to lose any of my companions, so I don't know what to do when the time comes. As Ling Weiwei spoke, her eyes were somewhat vacant. Although this group of martial artists was led by Ling Weiwei herself was only a 17-year-old little girl. At this age, Ling Weiwei felt like she couldn't breathe with so many companions' lives on her shoulders. Tang Ao also saw through Ling Weiwei's thoughts. Tang Ao smiled and said, Martial arts cultivation is a place where opportunities and dangers coexist. If you don't want to be mediocre, you will encounter danger. So, since you want to pursue a higher realm of martial arts, you must be prepared to be injured or even die. Speaking until here, Tang Ao also sighed. Even so, Tang Ao still felt that this kind of martial arts world was really too cruel for a young girl like Ling Weiwei. However, without waiting for Tang Ao to comfort Ling Weiwei smiled and said to Tang Ao, "Senior brother Tang Ao, you don't need to comfort me. I actually understand what you're saying, but until the last moment, I will absolutely not abandon any companions." Ling Weiwei said as she raised her little fist, as if she had made up her mind, looking extremely cute. Chapter 1753. Before the Nine-Colored Deer Merchant Guild's 100-year celebration grand auction, Tang Ao didn't have much to do. So, Tang Ao, Ling Weiwei, and the others could go hunt some black fog monsters. Also, before going to the Earthfire Stone Ruins, Tang Ao wanted to raise his cultivation to the Origin Martial Realm. Although Tang Ao could barely deal with Lin Quangtian, who was at the 3rd level of the Origin Martial Realm, with his cultivation at the peak of the 9th level of the Body Refining Realm, because of the special nature of the Nine Dragons Emperor's Jade Body, every increase in cultivation would cause Tang Ao's battle strength to rise by a terrifying amount. Tang Ao estimated that if his cultivation could really rise to the 1st level of the Origin Martial Realm, then when he faced Lin Quangtian again, it wouldn't be a problem to kill him. But right now, Tang Ao was still at the 9th level of the Body Refining Realm. So, Tang Ao could only pray in his heart that he wouldn't meet the Lin family. According to what Lin Huqing said before, the Lin family was preparing to leave in 3 days. So, if there were no accidents, Ling Weiwei's group and the Lin family's warriors would not meet. Also, Tang Ao was confused about one thing. He had lost contact with the blood scar again. If the blood scar was nearby, Tang Ao could easily feel its existence. Previously, Tang Ao and the blood scar had agreed to return to this area in 3 days. It was now the 3rd day, but Tang Ao couldn't feel the existence of the blood scar at all. And when Ling Weiwei heard that Tang Ao was willing to go with them to hunt the black fog monsters, she was very happy. Because Tang Ao had lived in the Blood Wastelands for a long time, he had a very good understanding of the Blood Wastelands. With Tang Ao accompanying them, they would be able to avoid some dangers. "Senior Tang Ao, can you really come with us to hunt the black fog monsters?" Although it was very common for martial artists to form teams to kill monstrous beasts, under normal circumstances, the martial artists who formed teams had similar cultivations. Right now, within Ling Weiwei's group of people, although Ling Weiwei's cultivation was at the 1st level of the Origin Realm, other than Ling Weiwei and a martial artist at the 9th level of the Body Refining Realm, the other people's cultivation were all below the 9th level of the Body Refining Realm. Little Iron Pillar was the youngest, and his cultivation was the weakest. He was only at the 6th level of the Body Refining Realm. In this kind of situation, if Tang Ao and Ling Weiwei's group formed a team, they would easily be dragged down by these people. Therefore, although Ling Weiwei also hoped to team up with Tang Ao, Ling Weiwei was also worried that Tang Ao would dislike the other martial artists in the team. However, Ling Weiwei was obviously thinking too much. Although they hadn't known each other for a long time, Tang Ao had a very good impression of Ling Weiwei and her group. Tang Ao was different from the majority of martial artists. As long as they got along well, even if it was a normal person who had never cultivated, Tang Ao was willing to get along with them. However, if they didn't get along well, even if the other party was the leader of the Flying Star Alliance, Tang Ao couldn't be bothered to care about them. Of course it's true. So when we arrive at the Evergreen Market Square tomorrow, we can immediately set off after some rest. In the Evergreen Mountain Range, although there aren't many black fog monsters, they aren't very strong. Therefore, hunting black fog monsters in the Evergreen Mountain Range is indeed a good choice for you guys. Previously, Tang Ao had heard from Luo Yunshang that there were black fog monsters around the Evergreen Mountain Range. However, compared to the outer and central regions of the Bloody Wasteland, the number of black fog monsters around the Evergreen Mountain Range was too few. Moreover, because the black fog monsters around the Evergreen Mountain Range weren't very strong, many weaker martial artists would hunt black fog monsters in this area. Tang Ao had previously told Ling Weiwei about this. Moreover, Ling Weiwei also planned to hunt black fog monsters around the Evergreen Mountain Range. This way, she could minimize the danger. Now that she had Tang Ao's help, Ling Weiwei was naturally very happy. Senior brother Tang Ao, this leg of lamb is for you. Ling Weiwei happily handed a golden and crispy leg of lamb over to Tang Ao. Tang Ao took the roasted leg of lamb and smiled. This Ling Weiwei was really like a child. When she was happy, she would give him delicious food. However, Tang Ao had to admit that after marinating it with Chef Xiao Chui's special spices, the roasted leg of lamb was really delicious. At that moment, Tang Ao secretly decided that if he had time, he would learn this unique recipe from Xiao Chui. Chapter 1754. But not everyone was drunk. Among this group of people, there was a middle-aged warrior at the 9th level of the body, refining realm. At this moment, he was still sitting by the bonfire, watching his surroundings vigilantly. Through the conversation just now, Tang Ao also recognized this middle-aged warrior. This person was called Wu Mu, and he looked to be around 40 years old. He was a man of few words, and Tang Ao had not spoken much to him until now. Wu Mu wore a large black cloak, and beside him, there was a large blade wrapped in black cloth. Tang Ao was very curious about this blade, but Tang Ao had no intention of examining this large blade. When Tang Ao looked at Wu Mu's sharp, eagle-like eyes under his cloak also looked at Tang Ao. Although their journey had been smooth sailing without any accidents, Wu Mu did not let down his guard. Elder Tan, she had allowed him to follow Ling Weiwei's team precisely because he was cautious. Thus, now everyone was already drunk, but Wu Mu was not at all drunk. Unlike the other warriors, Wu Mu had not drunk a drop of wine. When everyone had been fooling around just now, he had just quietly sat cross-legged. You were the first person to not get drunk after drinking so much 100 Springs wine. While Tang Ao did not say anything, Wu Mu took the initiative to speak. Although Wu Mu did not think that Tang Ao had any designs on their team, he was still wary of Tang Ao. Thus, Wu Mu's attitude towards Tang Ao was naturally not as friendly as the others. As for Wu Mu's attitude, Tang Ao also did not care that much. After all, he had not known them for long, and his cultivation was slightly higher than Ling Weiwei's group. If Tang Ao had any bad intentions in Ling Weiwei's team, only Ling Weiwei and Wu Mu were Tang Ao's match. The other's cultivation was not as high as Tang Ao's. Of course, this was only on the surface, because if Tang Ao really had any ideas about Ling Weiwei's group, then even if this group of martial artists worked together, they still wouldn't be a match for Tang Ao. This wine is not bad. Tang Ao drank another mouthful of the wine in his hand and said indifferently. After Tang Ao said this, Wushu looked at Tang Ao and said casually, "I hope you're really here to drink." Tang Ao smiled and didn't say anything else. The Scarlet Wasteland at night was indeed very dangerous. Tang Ao was sitting in the camp, and from time to time, he could sense the presence of powerful, demonic beasts nearby. However, for some unknown reason, these demonic beasts did not approach this place. What surprised Tang Ao was that every time a powerful demon beast came near, Wushu's black gold ancient blade would let out a slight buzzing sound. The stronger the demonic beast, the more intense the buzzing sound of the black gold ancient blade. After seeing this interesting scene, Tang Ao felt that Wushu's black gold ancient blade was also a good treasure. However, Tang Ao did not have any thoughts of taking the black gold ancient blade for himself. In this world, there were many treasures. If Tang Ao wanted one every time he saw one, then Tang Ao would not need to do anything else in his life. He would only need to be busy collecting all kinds of treasures. Chapter 1755. When Tang Ao saw him like this, he found it rather interesting. This was because Tang Ao felt that if the small iron pillar was afraid that the rock hammer would disappear, then he could either not sleep or put the rock hammer in his storage ring. This way, he wouldn't have to worry about his rock hammer disappearing every day. Just as Tang Ao couldn't help but want to tease the small iron pillar, Tang Ao suddenly discovered something. Regarding the small iron pillar's rock hammer, Tang Ao had previously used his soul remembrance to carefully examine it. The small iron pillar's rock hammer was a 3-star soul weapon, and its creation was extremely meticulous. However, at this moment, when Tang Ao's soul remembrance swept over this rock hammer, he shockingly discovered that this rock hammer's rank had astonishingly reached the rank of a 4-star soul weapon. This discovery caused Tang Ao to be extremely shocked. Promptly, Tang Ao used Heavenly Extreme pupils to examine the rock hammer. As the Heavenly Extreme pupils examined, Tang Ao discovered that the surrounding Earth's yellow Earth essence was constantly being absorbed by the rock hammer. Moreover, with every bit of Earth essence it absorbed, the rock hammer's aura grew stronger. Although this growth wasn't very obvious, Tang Ao could still imagine how terrifying this rock hammer would become if there was no upper limit to its absorption. Over time, it would accumulate over time. However, Tang Ao quickly changed his mind. This was because Tang Ao could see that this rock hammer was a very special spiritual artifact. As it absorbed the essence of the earth, its grade also continued to increase. However, this increase wasn't permanent, or in other words, the rock hammer's rank wasn't truly increasing. This was because Tang Ao could tell that the earth essence absorbed by the rock hammer was only concentrated in the rock hammer. Clearly, when the rock hammer released the earth essence, the rock hammer would immediately return to its original rank. Despite this, Tang Ao was still amazed at the intricacy of this soul weapon's design. The rock hammer used 9 groups of inscription arrays. These 9 groups of inscription arrays Tang Ao had learned a long time ago. However, Tang Ao never expected that after these 9 groups of inscription arrays were combined, it would have such an unexpected effect. However, Tang Ao quickly discovered that this rock hammer wasn't so simple. This was because the material used to forge the rock hammer was a special meteoric iron. As for what rank this meteoric iron was, Tang Ao couldn't tell. In reality, even the small iron pillar himself didn't know what the meteoric iron was, let alone Tang Ao. Although he didn't know what it was, the small iron pillar still understood the mysteries of the meteoric iron. After 3 years of planning, the small iron pillar finally used the meteoric iron to forge the rock hammer in his hand. This rock hammer was even praised by his master, Elder Tan Shi. Every time he touched the rock hammer, the small iron pillar would feel a little proud in his heart. Not long after, Ling Weiwei also woke up. After waking up, Ling Weiwei used a dust removal technique to freshen up. Immediately, she let everyone pack up and set off. Chapter 1756. Tang Ao could only bitterly smile. However, Tang Ao wasn't in a rush right now, so Tang Ao didn't have any thoughts of leaving early. After walking for a while, Tang Ao's eyebrows suddenly moved. In front of him, Tang Ao discovered 2 raging flame lions slowly approaching. Looking at their path of advance, these 2 raging flame lions clearly weren't just passing by and were coming for them. Without waiting for Tang Ao to say anything, Wu Shu, who was walking at the very front of the group, said with a serious expression, "Everyone be careful. There are strong demon beasts coming." Although the raging flame lion was currently outside of the range of this group of martial artist soul remembrance, after Wu Shu finished speaking, all of the 100 Flower Manor's martial artists immediately took out their soul weapons and carefully examined their surroundings. Ling Weiwei's cultivation was the strongest, and her soul remembrance was also the strongest. Finally, when the raging flame lions came closer, Ling Weiwei also saw 2 raging flame lions at the peak of the 1st level of the Origin Martial Realm. Seeing 2 raging flame lions at the peak of the 1st level of the Origin Martial Realm, Ling Weiwei silently cursed in her heart. "Everyone be careful. there are two raging flame lions coming. Compared to Ling Weiwei's nervousness, the other Hundred Flower Villa's martial artists were nervous but secretly excited. Up until now, everyone had been in the blood wasteland for a long time without any gains. However, the two approaching raging flame lions were like fat meat delivered to their doorstep. The raging flame lion was an extremely rare demon beast, and its entire body was a treasure. So, since the raging flame lions came, everyone was thinking about how to kill these two raging flame lions. Of course, in the excitement, there was also fear. After all, in their group, only Ling Weiwei was at the early stage of the first level of the origin martial realm, and Wu Shu was at the peak of the 9th level of the body refining realm. The others were at the 6th to 8th level of the body refining realm. So, encountering two raging flame lions, they couldn't handle it. Big brother Tang Ao, there are two raging flame lions this time. Can you and Uncle Wu Shu team up against one raging flame lion? Once I think of a way to deal with one of the flaming lions, I'll immediately come to help you. If it was just one flaming lion, Ling Weiwei naturally wouldn't want to trouble Tang Ao. But now it wasn't possible, because if two flame roar lions came at the same time, then it was impossible for the Hundred Flowers Manor to deal with them. Seeing Ling Weiwei's anxious expression, Tang Ao couldn't help but stretch out his hand and knock her on the head, saying, "Of course not." Hearing Tang Ao's words, Ling Weiwei was somewhat disappointed. This was because she had already regarded Tang Ao as a member of their team. The others also thought the same. But now, in the face of danger, Tang Ao retreated. But before waiting for Ling Weiwei to continue speaking, Tang Ao said, "It should be you and Uncle Wu Shu teaming up against one of the raging flame lions. Wait for me to deal with one of the raging flame lions, then I'll come to help you." After speaking, Tang Ao's gaze retracted. Shortly after, Tang Ao shouted in a low voice, "Quickly retreat, they're coming." After speaking, Tang Ao immediately flew to the side. The surrounding people also felt a dangerous aura, and immediately they looked at Tang Ao and dispersed. Just as the crowd dispersed, a huge lava fireball the size of a millstone fell from the sky. Chapter 1757. Roar. At this moment, a scarlet figure pounced towards the crowd. The flaming lion was covered in faint flames. Its body was even larger than the fire plume horse, and it was extremely aggressive. After the flaming lion pounced, it raised its claws and slapped at the fire plume horse. The fire plume horse didn't even have time to react before it was smashed into meat paste. Seeing this scene, the crowd was even more afraid. One had to know that although the fire plume horse was relatively docile, it was still a 7-star demonic beast. It was equivalent to a 7th level body refining realm martial artist. But at this moment, when facing the flaming lion, the fire plume horse didn't even have time to react before it was smashed to death by the flaming lion. Didn't this mean that even a 7th level body refining realm martial artist would end up like this in front of the flaming lion? Just as they were thinking about this, the other flaming lion also rushed out from another direction. Immediately after, it opened its bloody mouth and a huge fireball flew out. The direction this fireball was flying towards was where Ling Weiwei and the others were. Tang Ao's heart moved, and he was about to take out the Farmer God Cauldron to block it. But before Tang Ao could make a move, Tang Ao saw the small metal pillar beside Ling Weiwei suddenly jump up. Immediately after, it grabbed the rock hammer with both hands and smashed it towards the fireball. Boom! Under the shocked gazes of the crowd, this incomparably terrifying lava fireball was actually smashed into countless scattered flames by the small metal pillar's hammer. And the power of the small metal pillar's hammer did not end there. The terrifying shockwave directly bombarded the flaming lion below. In the instant that the flaming lion was hit, the flaming lion also received a heavy blow and was smashed into the air. This scene shocked the crowd, but Tang Ao felt that it was only natural. Tang Ao had long discovered the secret of the rock hammer. It was just that after the small metal pillar smashed the hammer, Although the effect was extraordinary, the rock hammer's aura had already reverted to that of a one-star spiritual weapon. Moreover, the small metal pillar's energy was also almost depleted. Tang Ao could only bitterly smile at the small iron pillar's fighting style. The small iron pillar had clearly placed all his hopes on the hammer. Therefore, after the hammer strike, the small iron pillar no longer had the ability to fight. Everyone had seen Xiao Taizhu use it before, so they knew how powerful the rock hammer was. However, they didn't think that Xiao Taizhu's rock hammer would be this powerful. With the hammer strike from the little metal pillar just now, if it was a sneak attack and it hit a human martial artist at the first level of the origin realm, it was extremely possible that the human martial artist would be insta-killed. The reason why the flaming lion was only injured by the small iron pillar was because the flaming lion had thick skin and flesh. Moreover, it wasn't the target of the small iron pillar, so it wasn't heavily injured. After being injured by the small metal pillar, this blazing lion was obviously extremely furious. With a furious roar, he pounced towards Ling Weiwei and the others once more. "Be careful!" Mississippi Wu Shu cried out in alarm. He unsheathed his black gold ancient blade and rushed over. "Beast, don't be presumptuous." Without waiting for Wu Shu to arrive, Tang Ao instantly appeared in front of Ling Weiwei. Chapter 1758. Just when everyone was worried for Tang Ao, a scene that they had never thought of appeared before their eyes. A golden light flashed on Tang Ao's body as a golden armor surrounded Tang Ao. At that moment, Tang Ao looked like a god of war wearing golden armor. After summoning the battle sage Bone Life Soul, Tang Ao suddenly exerted his strength and punched out. Under Tang Ao's punch, the surrounding primordial energy stirred up layers of ripples. As it was too fast, it even produced an ear-piercing sonic boom. Bam! With an explosion, everyone saw the ferocious inferno lion being sent flying by Tang Ao's punch despite taking the initiative to attack. Furthermore, it smashed through several trees along the way before coming to a stop. After feeling the surging primordial energy in his body, Tang Ao knew that he had completely underestimated himself. Although he had fainted due to the depletion of his psyche and primordial energy, Tang Ao's psyche and primordial energy had been greatly enhanced after he recovered. Therefore, even a powerful demonic beast like the Inferno Lion couldn't withstand a single punch from him. After Tang Ao's stunning punch sent Inferno Lion retreating, the other Inferno Lion fearlessly attacked Tang Ao. The Inferno Lion opened its mouth and a ball of flames flew at Tang Ao. Against the Inferno Lion's ferocious fireball, Tang Ao didn't use brute force like the metal pillar. Tang Ao constricted his eyes as he instantly activated the sky pole eyes. Immediately, countless icy auras condensed around him. By the time the terrifying lava fireball flew in front of Tang Ao, it had already transformed into a massive ice ball. Furthermore, the ice ball didn't last long before it suddenly exploded. Instantly, ice crystals filled the sky. There was no sign of the lava fireball. After Tang Ao easily caught the Inferno Lion's fireball, the Inferno Lion was somewhat afraid. At this time, an axe appeared in Tang Ao's hand. This axe was none other than the demon-slaying axe Tang Ao had previously obtained. After using it the last time, Tang Ao realized that with his soul sea shattered, this demon-slaying axe was much more powerful than his life soul. Therefore, Tang Ao took out his demon-slaying axe and did not summon his green Lotus Sword soul. However, after taking out the devil-slaying axe, Tang Ao hesitated for a moment before putting it away. Tang Ao was very clear about the power of the devil beheading axe. Don't be fooled by how ferocious these two raging flame lions were. Under the devil beheading axe, they could be easily killed. But now, Tang Ao had changed his mind. Previously, Tang Ao wanted to kill these two blazing lions, but now that he had killed one of his fire plume horses, there was still another carriage that didn't have a fire plume horse to pull. Therefore, Tang Ao decided not to kill these two blazing lions. Instead, he would use a soul imprint to subdue these two blazing lions. If it was any other martial artist, even Lu Chuanjia, who had already cultivated to the 4th level of the origin martial realm, wouldn't dare to do such a thing. Because demonic beasts were innately ferocious, in order to establish a soul imprint, the other party must not resist at all, or one's remembrance must be strong enough to suppress the opponent's remembrance. However, it was clear that it was impossible for the blazing lions not to resist. As for using remembrance to suppress the blazing lions, if it was a low-level demonic beast, Lu Chuanjia could perhaps give a try. However, against a powerful demonic beast at the peak of the 1st level of the origin martial realm, Lu Chuanjia didn't have the guts to try. Chapter 1759. Just as everyone was in shock, something even more unexpected happened. Tang Ao's figure flashed and instantly appeared next to the two raging flame lions. Immediately, everyone saw that when Tang Ao appeared next to the two raging flame lions, their eyes were filled with endless fear. Their mouths also let out miserable cries as if they were currently encountering something. Actually, if a human martial artist wanted to establish a connection with a demonic beast, they could use a very friendly method, which was to establish a soul contract. Previously, Tang Hua Air and Tang Yu had both established a soul contract with Tang Ao. However, Tang Hua Air and Tang Yu were both of an extremely high rank and possessed an ancient bloodline. Therefore, Tang Ao had chosen to establish a soul contract with him. However, the two raging flame lions in front of him were naturally beneath Tang Ao's eyes. Therefore, Tang Ao only used a simple and crude soul imprint. The process of establishing a soul imprint between a demonic beast and a human martial artist was very painful. The demonic beast's soul felt as if it was being bitten by tens of thousands of ghosts during this process. However, Tang Ao didn't stop because this pain wouldn't cause any actual harm. Instead, it would make the demonic beast more obedient to its master. Due to Tang Ao's soul remembrance being too powerful, after the two raging flame lions were injured by Tang Ao, they didn't even have the slightest chance to resist before being imprinted with a soul imprint by Tang Ao. After establishing the soul imprint, Tang Ao released the soul remembrance suppression. The two flaming lions collapsed to the ground as if they had collapsed from exhaustion. They gasped heavily for air. However, the eyes they were currently looking at Tang Ao no longer had the ferocity from before. There was only endless fear. Just as the two raging flame lions were gasping for breath, Tang Ao took out a bottle of grass green pills from his storage ring. Shortly after, Tang Ao took out 2 pills from the bottle and flicked them into the two raging flame lions' mouths. What Tang Ao fed them were rank 6 spirit beast pellets. Although the effects of the pellets that Tang Ao made before on the Flying Star Continent could only be used by 10%, how strong were the rank 6 pellets? The two blaze lions that seemed to be dying quickly stood up, and the auras on their bodies also broke into the 2nd level of the origin realm. This scene directly caused Ling Weiwei and the other martial artists to be dumbfounded. They really couldn't understand what Tang Ao was doing at this moment. The next scene made everyone even more speechless. After taking Tang Ao's spirit beast pill, these two incomparably fierce raging flame lions actually became very docile like puppies. They even intimately used their heads to worship Tang Ao. Tang Ao coldly snorted and stopped them. He then said in a low voice, "Follow me." Then, Tang Ao walked towards Ling Weiwei and the others. The two raging flame lions obediently followed Tang Ao. Seeing the raging flame lions come over, Ling Weiwei and the others subconsciously took a few steps back in fright. Chapter 1760. Seeing Little Iron Pillar and the others coming over, the Flame Roar lions immediately let out a deafening roar, as if they wanted to scare Little Iron Pillar and the others away, so that they would not approach Tang Ao. However, their actions of protecting their master made Tang Ao speechless. This was simply a slap to his face. Immediately, Tang Ao raised his hand and knocked on the heads of the two fellows. Only then did the two flame roar lions immediately calm down. "You two idiots, look carefully. These are our people. Don't shout at me in the future. Do you hear me?" Tang Ao said helplessly to the two flaming lions. "You two idiots." Hearing Tang Ao's words, the two flame roar lions nodded obediently. It was obvious that they knew that their master was very powerful. Moreover, the light green elixir in their master's hand was also very beneficial to them. Compared to Tang Hor, who could transform into a human form, the intelligence of these two flame roar lions was too worrying. Fortunately, although these two fellows did not have high intelligence, they were extremely obedient. Therefore, Tang Ao was very satisfied and took out the Spirit Beast elixir again and gave them one each. The Spirit Beast elixir that Tang Ao had now was refined by Tang Ao in the ice plane. Although the grade was very high, due to the suppression of the Flying Star Continent's special laws of heaven and earth, the efficacy of the Spirit Beast elixir was reduced to about 10%. The Spirit Beast elixir used to refine the Spirit Beast elixir were relatively precious. Right now, Tang Ao did not have any extra on him. Therefore, Tang Ao decided to look for the Spirit Beast elixir in the Flying Star Continent. Although without the Spirit Beast elixir, Tang Ao could still use the Soul Brand to make these two fellows obedient. However, since the Soul Brand was established, Tang Ao also regarded them as his own mounts. Naturally, Tang Ao would not be stingy towards his own mounts. "Big brother Tang Ao, you're really amazing. How did you do it?" Little Tai Zhu looked at Tang Ao with a face full of worship. Little Tai Zhu had personally experienced the strength of these two flame lions. But now, these two fierce flame lions were actually subdued by Tang Ao. This made Little Tai Zhu worship Tang Ao. Little Tai Zhu's heart was filled with admiration for Tang Ao. If he could learn from Tang Ao, he would not have to do anything else in the future. All he needed to do was to search for powerful demon beasts across the entire Flying Star Continent. However, the small metal pillar's thoughts were too beautiful. Using soul remembrance to suppress a demon beast required a terrifying amount of soul remembrance. Tang Ao had the 9 Dragons Emperor J body, and he had a soul ocean inside his body that other warriors didn't have. Therefore, Tang Ao was able to subdue these two flame lions so easily. Otherwise, even if it was a Sea of Souls realm warrior, it would be extremely difficult to use soul remembrance to suppress these two flame lions without any special methods. Chapter 1761. After Tang Ao subdued the two raging flame lions, the 100 Flower Villa's martial artists looked at Tang Ao differently. At this moment, of the two raging flame lions that Tang Ao subdued, one replaced the dead fire plume horse to pull the carriage while the other became Tang Ao's mount. At this moment, Tang Ao was very leisurely riding on the raging flame lion. With the raging flame lion in the group, the surrounding demon beasts felt the powerful aura of the two raging flame lions and naturally ran away in fright. Thus, although they encountered many demon beasts on the way, when these demon beasts appeared within Ling Weiwei's and the other soul remembrance, they were immediately scared away. Although there were many demon beasts in the Blood Wasteland, the Origin Realm 2nd level Raging Flame Lion was an Overlord level demon beast. On the following journey, Tang Ao saw quite a few monstrous beasts, but the strength of the monstrous beasts were too weak. Naturally, Tang Ao was not interested. The strongest monstrous beast only reached the early stages of the 1st level of the Origin Realm. Moreover, after this demon beast felt the aura of the Raging Flame Lion, it immediately madly ran away. Perhaps seeing that nothing happened to Tang Ao sitting on the Raging Flame Lion, Ling Weiwei actually gathered her courage and walked over to Tang Ao. "Senior Tang Ao, can I also ride the Raging Flame Lion?" Ling Weiwei's large eyes were filled with anticipation. Although Ling Weiwei had heard old Tianchi say that some martial artists could use special methods to control demon beasts, it was the first time Ling Weiwei had seen a martial artist actually control a demon beast. Of course, Tang Ao flipped and jumped off the raging flame lion. Seeing that Ling Weiwei wanted to jump onto his back, the raging flame lion was a bit unwilling. No matter what, it was the king of the forest, the raging flame lion, with the strength of the second level of the origin realm. Now that a little girl was riding on its back, the raging flame lion felt that it had lost a lot of face. However, Ling Weiwei was clearly very smart. After seeing Tang Ao give the raging flame lion a spirit beast pill, Ling Weiwei also concocted a cauldron of spirit beast pills. After getting Tang Ao's approval, Ling Weiwei took out the spirit beast pill she concocted from her storage ring, poured out one, and fed it to the raging flame lion. Because the raging flame lion was a fire-type demon beast, Ling Weiwei specially added some fire-type spirit herbs when she concocted the flame lion. Without a doubt, Ling Weiwei's decision was very correct. After consuming Ling Weiwei's spirit beast pill, the flaming lion appeared to be extremely happy. It actually used its head to nudge Ling Weiwei's arm in a fawning manner. Flame Lion's Demon Flame Clan Beast. The Dragon Flame Lion's Flame Lion Ao. Although the raging flame lion was incomparably fierce at the start, after being subdued by Tang Ao, the crowd carefully observed and discovered that the raging flame lion wasn't that fierce at all. When it was obedient, it was quite lovable. Seeing the raging flame lion's obedient appearance, naturally, Ling Weiwei gave it another spirit beast pill. After tasting the sweetness, the raging flame lion completely abandoned its pride as the overlord of monstrous beasts. It proactively laid down on its mighty body, allowing Ling Weiwei to easily climb onto its back. After Ling Weiwei climbed onto its back, the raging flame lion started to run, causing Ling Weiwei to laugh like a silver bell. Chapter 1762. If they didn't see it with their own eyes, they simply wouldn't dare to believe that someone could tame such a powerful, monstrous beast like the Blaze Lion. Thinking to that point, everyone subconsciously looked at Tang Ao, who was walking alone at the front of the group. Tang Ao seemed to have a relaxed appearance at all times, as if the bloody wasteland that was filled with dangers was an ordinary place to Tang Ao. In reality, it really was like that. At that moment, although Tang Ao's cultivation hadn't reached the first level of the origin realm that Tang Ao expected, Tang Ao's current fighting strength was already comparable to a martial artist at the peak of the second level of the origin realm. If he used some methods, he could even fight against a martial artist at the third level of the origin realm. So, when Tang Ao walked in the bloody wasteland, he naturally felt relaxed. When Tang Ao had that feeling, Tang Ao also felt that his body was a lot more relaxed. After coming to the Flying Star continent, Tang Ao was in an extremely weak state for a long period of time. He always felt pressured, but at that moment, all that heavy pressure seemed to have disappeared like smoke. Also at that time, Tang Ao's heart felt a wave of clarity. Immediately after, Tang Ao felt a warm and refreshing aura flow through his body. After feeling that feeling, the corner of Tang Ao's mouth curled up. Tang Ao wasn't worried about his cultivation recovering to the origin realm. Tang Ao knew that it was absolutely something that would happen naturally. So, from what Tang Ao thought, he would have to go to the Evergreen Market Square and get some origin crystals before he could break into the origin realm. But what Tang Ao didn't expect was that because he had a moment of enlightenment in his heart, he actually broke into the first level of the origin realm in such a way. Because of the special nature of the 9 Dragons Emperor's Jade Body, even if Tang Ao broke into the first level of the origin realm, what Tang Ao showed was the chance of the 9th level of the body refining realm. Of course, if Tang Ao was willing, he could also display the aura of the first level of the origin realm. However, Tang Ao felt that there was no need. Breaking into the first level of the origin realm was not something worth showing off to Tang Ao. After his cultivation broke into the first level of the origin realm, Tang Ao also understood that it seemed like it was impossible for him to recover his cultivation there. Tang Ao estimated that even if he took out all of the yuan crystals in this place, he might not be able to recover to the life and death realm. As for breaking through the life and death realm and reaching the astral reaching realm, that would be even more wishful thinking. Therefore, what Tang Ao needed to do now was to find a way to restore his soul C. After his soul C was restored, Tang Ao would be able to refine the Three Treasures Blood Lotus Pill. With the Three Treasures Blood Lotus Pill, Shui Heng's cultivation would be restored. After Shui Heng's cultivation was restored, it would not be a problem for him to leave this place. Right now, there were too many things waiting for Tang Ao to do. Tang Ao did not want to waste any more time in the Flying Star Continent. Of course, if he really could not refine the Three Treasures Blood Lotus Pill, Tang Ao would also consider using the space-breaking spell to leave this place. However, a treasure like the space-breaking spell would be like having an extra life on him. In the future, Tang Ao would have to fight in the higher-level martial world and meet even more powerful martial artists. Therefore, unless it was absolutely necessary, Tang Ao really did not want to use the space-breaking spell like this. Chapter 1763. Feeling the thick and powerful Yuan Qi, Tang Ao knew that if he were to face Lin Quangtian again, he would definitely be able to beat Lin Quangtian until he called him Grandpa. Previously, Tang Ao hoped that he wouldn't encounter Lin Quangtian and the others on the way to Evergreen Market. Now, Tang Ao hoped that Lin Huqing and the others would be unlucky and run into him. However, things were obviously not as good as Tang Ao thought. Lin Huqing said that the Lin family would leave in 3 days, and it was really 3 days later. Therefore, the Lin family was still in the Lin family's encampment. With the flaming lion opening the way, there were no monsters that would interfere with the rest of the journey. Therefore, Ling Weiwei and the others' speed was also a lot faster. It didn't take long for Tang Ao to see the Evergreen Market not far away. Tang Ao also sighed in his heart. Previously, it was obviously a vast bare mountain, but now it had become a small town with people coming and going. Not only Tang Ao, but the other warriors of Hundred Flowers Manor also sighed in their hearts. In this desolate scarlet wasteland, it was hard to imagine that there would be such a prosperous place. At this moment, in Evergreen Market, there were all kinds of tea houses, restaurants, shops, and inns. It was said that this place was built by the Nine-Color Deer Trade Union a few days ago. To be able to run a market to this extent in just a few days, the Nine-Color Deer Trade Union's business ability was really terrifying. However, Tang Ao also admitted that the Nine-Color Deer Trade Union's construction of Evergreen Market really brought great convenience to many warriors. The Scarlet Mountain Range was a very dangerous place. Even the fortress built by the Liu family manor in the Scarlet Wasteland had been attacked by monsters. But now, Evergreen Market had become the safest place in the entire Scarlet Wasteland. Because the Nine-Color Deer Trade Union had built Evergreen Market, various forces, big and small, had stationed in Evergreen Market. In the face of this situation, the Nine-Color Deer Trade Union's leader, Shun Qianshi, also made a prompt decision. He actually moved the headquarters of the Nine-Color Deer Trade Union to Evergreen Market. Because of this incident, the Nine-Color Deer Merchant Guild became the focus of attention. Perhaps it was because of the marriage alliance with the Golden Seeking Pavilion, but when the Nine-Color Deer Merchant Guild did all sorts of things with great fanfare, no one dared to cause trouble. Elder Qianshi was naturally very satisfied with this. However, what made Qianshi and Zhang Jujin feel rather helpless was that even though they had already agreed on everything regarding the alliance between the Nine-Color Deer Merchant Guild and the Seeking Gold Pavilion, there were still some problems with the marriage between Shun Luoli and Zhang Zifen. Although the two of them had been brought together by them during this period of time, they really didn't have any feelings for each other. Shun Luoli was a bit better. She had long since prepared to sacrifice her happiness for the nine-colored deer merchant guild. But Zhang Zifan was different. Although Zhang Zifan was the young master of the Golden Seeking Pavilion, he had established the Idler Mountain Villa with the support of the Golden Seeking Pavilion. With the development of the Idler Mountain Villa, Zhang Zifan's influence was no weaker than the Golden Seeking Pavilion. Therefore, regarding the marriage alliance with Shen Luoli, Zhang Zifan only said that the two of them would get along for a period of time. If they weren't suitable, then forget it. Now that the marriage alliance between the nine-colored Deer Merchant Guild and the Golden Seeking Pavilion was known by the entire Facian continent. Even if Zhang Zifan was unwilling, Shen Qianshi and Zhang Jujin obviously wouldn't really let it go. Chapter 1764. When Tang Ao and the others walked into the Evergreen Market Square, they immediately attracted everyone's gazes. Of course, those gazes weren't on Tang Ao. They were gathered on Ling Weiwei, who was next to Tang Ao. At that moment, the blaze lion that Ling Weiwei was riding was too eye-catching. If it wasn't for the fact that the blaze lion was docilely being ridden by Ling Weiwei, many people would have already been scared away. My God, where did these people come from? They can even subdue a monstrous beast like the blaze lion. Now that the Blood Wasteland has opened, many hidden powers have appeared. Although their cultivation isn't high, since they can subdue the blaze lion, they must have some shocking methods. This girl is quite pretty. I'm afraid that in the current Evergreen Market Square, only Lady Shen Luoli can compete with her. That's not necessarily true. The Drunken Gold building caught a girl yesterday, and they are preparing to auction it off. TSK, TSK, TSK. That's what you call a pretty girl. Nonsense. The girls from the Drunken Gold building are not bad, but how can they be compared to Lady Shen Luoli? When Tang Ao and the others enter the market square, the crowd also watched and chatted. Originally, the topic that the two martial artists were talking about naturally wouldn't attract Tang Ao's attention. However, when Tang Ao saw the image in the crystal ball in the martial artist's hand, Tang Ao was immediately enraged. Because in the image of the crystal ball, there was an extremely beautiful female who was tied up. Naturally, Tang Ao knew that female. It was Luo Yunshang, who he separated from not too long ago. However, Tang Ao never would have thought that right after Luo Yunshang escaped from the tiger's mouth, she fell into the wolf's den. What Tang Ao didn't understand was that Luo Yunshang escaped with Lu Yu and Chu Jiang. How did Luo Yunshang get caught? No matter how bad Chu Jiang was, he was still a martial artist at the first level of the Origin Realm. As for Lu Yu, although his cultivation wasn't high, he was able to take out a treasure like the yellow turban strawman talisman. Naturally, he had quite a few methods on him. Therefore, Tang Ao couldn't understand how Luo Yunshang could be captured by the Drunken Gold House. But no matter what the reason was, since these people dared to capture Luo Yunshang, they had to be prepared to suffer his wrath. Immediately, Tang Ao said to Ling Weiwei, "Something happened to a friend of mine. You guys find a place to stay first. Take these two flame lions with you. If anything happens, they can protect you. I'll be right back." After Tang Ao finished speaking, he walked to the side of the two warriors. Because Tang Ao was beside the flame lion, the two warriors looked at Tang Ao with vigilance. A martial artist who dared to stand beside the flame lion without the slightest scruple was either an idiot or he had extremely strong strength. At that moment, Tang Ao's cultivation was already hidden by Tang Ao. Therefore, these two martial artists who were only at the 7th level of the body refinement realm were naturally unable to see through Tang Ao's cultivation. Facing an existence that they couldn't see through, the two of them had no confidence in their hearts. After seeing Tang Ao walk over, one of them gathered his courage and asked, "I wonder what advice does friend have?" Chapter 1765. Many thanks. Tang Ao wasn't in the mood to listen to his nonsense. After casually throwing out a bottle of pills, he walked towards Intoxicated Gold Tower. Luo Yunshang had given Tang Ao 2 immortal talismans, and Tang Ao had received a huge favor from Luo Yunshang. Just based on the fact that Luo Yunshang and La Kale had the same appearance. These people daring to treat Luo Yunshang like this was courting death. Tang Ao wasn't an unreasonable person, but if Tang Ao was truly unreasonable, then it would be very terrifying. At this moment, within Intoxicated Gold Tower, the smell of perfume pervaded the air. In the Blood Wasteland, martial artists were constantly facing life and death situations. Therefore, after returning to Evergreen Market, many martial artists were very happy to come to Intoxicated Gold Tower to find a girl to have some fun with. Under such circumstances, Intoxicated Gold Tower's business was abnormally booming. However, today, there were many more people than usual because Intoxicated Gold Tower was auctioning for absolute beauties. Originally, Intoxicated Gold Tower only planned on auctioning 3. After all, such absolute beauties weren't easy to find. However, Intoxicated Gold Tower didn't expect that just yesterday, an extremely beautiful female martial artist would be caught by them. Moreover, this female martial artist didn't have any background, so even if she was auctioned, it wouldn't be much. Alright, time's up. Many thanks to everyone for giving me face and participating in Intoxicated Gold Tower's auction. I am Chun Chunsheng, the person in charge of Intoxicated Gold Tower's branch. I thank everyone here. Tang Ao had just arrived at Intoxicated Gold Tower when he heard Chun Chunsheng speak on the high platform. However, what confused Tang Ao was that when Tang Ao used his soul remembrance to scan the area, he didn't find Luo Yunshang. However, Tang Ao wasn't in a hurry. Since Chun Chunsheng wanted to auction Luo Yunshang, Tang Ao believed that Luo Yunshang would definitely show up. Although he did not discover Luo Yunshang, Tang Ao still saw the hidden experts of the Drunken Gold Building. At that instant, within the Drunken Gold Building, other than Chun Chunsheng who was on the stage, there were 3 other martial artists at the 2nd level of the Origin Realm. Tang Ao didn't know if this was because of the Yuan crystals in the Scarlet Wasteland, but the strength of the Intoxicated Gold House was already considered pretty good. Landlord Chun, you know why everyone is here. Don't waste your breath and get straight to the point. After Chun Chunsheng finished speaking, a bearded man immediately jeered. His words also attracted a burst of laughter from the crowd. Ha ha, this brother's right. Originally, I was going to send these 4 beauties to the Precious Treasure Towers auction in 6 days. However, the 9-colored Deer Merchant Guild's people are too inflexible and didn't send them to me. Therefore, I can only auction them myself in Intoxicated Gold Building. Fortunately, all my friends have come today. Without further ado, let's invite the first beauty, Lady Wu Yuan Shu. Following Chun Chunsheng's words, Tang Ao saw a beautiful female martial artist wearing a beautiful long skirt sitting on a chair. She was lifted onto the high platform by 4 tall and sturdy men. Since Tang Ao had seen too many beauties, although this female martial artist was pretty good looking, in Tang Ao's eyes, she was only decent. Moreover, Tang Ao's goal in coming here today clearly wasn't to bid on beauties, but to cause trouble. Chapter 1766. However, Chun Chunsheng coldly snorted and said, "You don't know the rules of my Intoxicated Gold Building? If it wasn't for the face of so many friends, I would have to give you a taste of my strength." Scram. Facing the request of the martial artist, Chun Chunsheng did not even have any expression. Tower Head Chun, are you really not willing to let Yuan Shu go? Naturally, the blue-clothed young man knew the rules of the Intoxicated Gold Building. However, the young man was only a loose cultivator, and Wu Yuan Shu was the lady of small power. After that power was destroyed by the enemy, Wu Yuan Shu was sold to the Intoxicated Gold Building. So, if he wanted to save Wu Yuan Shu, he only had to bid a high price to get Wu Yuan Shu. However, he was originally a loose cultivator, and he didn't even have enough cultivation resources. How could he afford a high price? Noisy. This time, Chun Chunsheng was too lazy to reply. After cursing, Chun Chunsheng's body became a series of afterimages. Quickly after, Everyone saw Chunsheng suddenly appear in front of the blue-clothed young man. After that, the blue-clothed young man's chest was stamped by Chunsheng's palm. Chunsheng did not hold anything back with that strike. Naturally, the palm power of his second-level origin realm martial artist was not something a normal ninth-level body refinement realm martial artist could receive. So, after the blue-clothed young man crazily spat out a few mouthfuls of blood in the air, he fainted on the spot. At that moment, if he was not saved in time, the blue-clothed young man would die without a doubt. Seeing the blue-clothed young man spit out blood, Wu Yuanshu was very worried. However, her entire body was locked, and she could not move nor speak a single word. Towards the blue-clothed young man, Tang Ao quite admired him. Although the blue-clothed young man was struck by Chunsheng's palm, Chunsheng was also schemed against by the blue-clothed young man. When Chunsheng struck the blue-clothed young man, a strand of poison in the blue-clothed young man's body was also drawn into Chunsheng's body. Tang Ao could see that the blue-clothed young man did not have many thoughts about saving Wu Yuanshu. Today, he came here because he wanted to die together with Chunsheng. It was just that Tang Ao did not know much about poisons, so Tang Ao could only judge that Chunsheng should have been poisoned by a slow-acting poison. Otherwise, it would not have taken effect until now. Wu Yuanshu's eyes were fixed on the blue-clothed youth. Clearly, she did not want anything to happen to the blue-clothed youth. Although the two of them might not have a chance to be together in this life, Wu Yuanshu still hoped that the blue-clothed youth could live well. Naturally, no one cared about this little episode that had just happened. No one even cared where the blue-clothed youth was lying. Tang Ao didn't think too much about it and walked straight towards the blue-robed youth. He helped the blue-robed youth to the side and then took out a pill for the blue-robed youth to swallow. Tang Ao's actions naturally attracted the attention of many people. It must be known that this blue-clothed youth was injured by Chunsheng. Now, Tang Ao's actions were undoubtedly against Chunsheng. Chunsheng also looked coldly at Tang Ao. Chunsheng could also see Tang Ao's cultivation. He was a kid at the 9th level of the body refinement realm. However, Chunsheng did not act up. There were too many hotheads in this world. If Chunsheng wanted to care about every single one of them, he would not need to do anything else. Although he said this, Chunsheng still did not plan on letting Tang Ao go. Therefore, Chunsheng had already sent a soul remembrance transmission to the martial artists below, telling them to watch Tang Ao closely. Okay, the starting price for this auction is 300 high-grade raising essence pills. The highest bidder wins. Let's begin. Although the blue-clothed youth's matter had made Chunsheng somewhat unhappy, now that he had begun bidding on these for beauties, his mood was still very good. Chapter 1767. The Drunken Gold building was bustling with people. Tang Ao stood outside the crowd and quietly watched. After taking Tang Ao's top-quality return spring pill, Mui, who had been heavily injured by Chunsheng, had woken up. Although he had woken up, Mui was still a bit weak. After Mui woke up, he immediately looked at Wu Yuanshu on the high platform. Seeing the tears in Wu Yuanshu's eyes, Mui felt as if his heart was about to break. Mui struggled to rush up the high platform again, but Tang Ao stopped him. Mui was very clear on how powerful Chunsheng's palm was. Now that he had woken up, Mui could guess that it was most likely Tang Ao who had saved him. Seeing Tang Ao stop him, Mui immediately cupped his hands and said, "Many thanks to Benefactor, but I'm afraid that I will not be able to repay you for saving my life. Today, even if I die, I will die with Yuanshu." Idiot! Even if you die with your strength, it is impossible to save your partner. Since it is like this, why not live well? Perhaps you can take revenge in the future. While Tang Ao and Mui were talking, a voice suddenly came from behind them. Tang Ao scanned with his soul remembrance and knew that the speaker was a first-level origin martial realm martial artist. If it was before the appearance of the Blood Wasteland, first-level origin martial realm martial artists were already considered experts on the Flying Star continent. But now, with the appearance of the Blood Wasteland, origin martial realm martial artists were becoming less and less valuable. One had to know that the entire Flying Star continent didn't have more than 30 origin martial realm martial artists. But now, there was about one origin martial realm martial artist in every 10,000 martial artists. This number didn't sound like there were many origin martial realm martial artists, but in the current Blood Wasteland, where origin martial realm martial artists were gathered, this number was already shocking enough. Landlord Chun, I say, don't keep us in suspense. Since the 4 beauties of the Intoxicated Gold Pavilion are going to be auctioned, why don't you just directly invite all 4 of them out? That way, it'll be easier for our brothers to choose. Aren't you just wasting everyone's time? A few martial artists revealed greedy expressions towards Wu Yuanshu, but some martial artists clearly weren't interested in her. Everyone's aesthetic standards were different. A single Wu Yuanshu obviously couldn't satisfy the requirements of these martial artists. After pondering for a moment, Chen Chunsheng also nodded. For Chen Chunsheng, he only needed to sell these 4 people and get his hands on the vitality-cultivating pills. As for how he sold these 4 beauties, wasn't that important? After getting Chen Chunsheng's approval, the Intoxicated Gold House's cultivators also invited the other 3 people out. Tang Ao saw Luo Yunshang at first glance. At this moment, Luo Yunshang was also sitting on a chair with lifeless eyes like Wu Yuanshu. Tang Ao could naturally see that Luo Yunshang was also imprisoned. Other than Luo Yunshang and Wu Yuanshu, there were 2 other beautiful women. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.